Good morning, Tempo Freaks. Alexios here. Is Monday, and the Tempo lost to the Aces last night, but only by 10 points. And this game could have been decided a couple different ways, which is kind of interesting. You know, I think if we had had a couple more of our people, we could have won. And I think that if Asia Wilson, who was questionable before the game, had not played, we would have won. Seriously, because we only lost by 10 and they needed almost 30 points from Wilson to win the game. And if she doesn't play, they don't win. Like, I know other people could step up and other things change in that way, but the way that it was played and the way that it went, even if just Mabry played or maybe just Morrow, if just somebody from the injured list came back, maybe even just Conde, we may have been able to beat Las Vegas yesterday and get our Damon Stoudemire beats Michael Jordan game of the year. But alas, we'll never know. Because Wilson, a real pro, a top-notch player, came and played and showed up. Half of winning is just showing up. And I get it. What are we playing for? These women are thinking about their careers and like, yeah, I don't really need to play. Do I, coach? Do I really need to play? No, you can be abducted, Marina. That's what it's saying. Show up, you can win. That's half the battle is just showing up. And well, because Wilson showed up, the Aces won, and so did Fiercey. If that didn't happen, both those teams might lose. Fiercey definitely loses her fantasy matchup. And the Aces may not totally beat the Tempo and piss off Becky Hammond. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy, honestly. I'm really proud of them. I know I said yesterday if the Tempo beat the Aces, I'd eat crow. And I meant seriously, like out in the yard, I was going to catch a crow and eat it. But I don't have to eat crow because they didn't beat them. But I was worried for a little bit there. I'm not going to lie. It was in the middle of the game, and the way the Tempo were playing with the Aces, and they were keeping with them, and they were doing stuff that's like, man, they could win this game. Man, I don't want to have to trap and eat a crow. I said that to my dad. But either way, it's impressive. I'm proud of them. I can't be mad at them for what they did last night. They are shorthanded. They played the champions, and they ran with them the whole game, and they kept the game competitive all the way through. And that's all I can ask for right now. And I think that's all Sandy can ask for too. You know, this schedule is messed up. No, I didn't really realize how bad this schedule is for the Tempo until now. I didn't really understand the WNBA totally at the beginning of the year. And when the Tempo schedule came out, I couldn't read it like I could read the Raptors schedule and see where all the messed up stuff is. I would have known that this is messed up, that this week we have all these games, 4 games in this week right now when we shouldn't. I mean, the dichotomy of it is look at the Vegas Aces. They played us last night. Now they don't have to play again until this FIBA break, until Friday when we play them again, and they're done. They don't have to play 3 more games before the FIBA break. They only have to play 1. And I'm sure they had their breaks scheduled out a little bit more spread out and stuff instead of having 5 days off dumped in one period where we just sat around and waited around for the schedule to start again. That's the thing to watch for now, guys. With this WNBA and the NBA, when does your team have a weird week off where there's no game scheduled and everything else is jammed up in other sections of the schedule? Because they're taking your days off and lumping them all together in one week. And that's not a good break for a basketball team. Some would say, oh, that's a good long break. No, that gets them out of rhythm in the middle of the season, just like an all-star break. And it doesn't allow for them to keep a rhythm like it's much better to not have it all dumped in one place and have those extra days off spread out in between back-to-backs and days where you may have 3 games and 4 nights. They're doing this shit. And you know what they did to Tempo in hindsight, looking at this, is just in case the Tempo are healthy and they're kicking ass and they're badasses like the Valkyries were last year. They got to have them all messed up right before the FIBA break with these crazy back-to-backs and games all of a sudden right in a row. Like so many games in the last apart before. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 days. 7 games in 12 days when they had a 5-day period off before that. Actually, they had a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 days off the time before. It's insidious schedule making. And the schedule makers are the new one of the new ways to really fuck over teams without the refs being involved or anybody else. Just build it in their schedule. We see what y'all are doing. We see what y'all are doing. Why the Aces only have one more game till the break, and they're ahead of us in their schedule because they played a bunch of their games already this season and paced out periods that make sense that are healthy for a team. And we got this weird jerky like kind of schedule. It's messed up, man. There's no reason why the Tempo needed to play 3 out of 4 nights right before the FIBA break. And now, because we have players shutting down for the season, it was announced yesterday that both Brittany Sykes and Anissa Morrow will not play again this year, that they're shut down for the season, including the 4 games in September. And Marina is shortly to follow. In fact, what Sandy said before the game yesterday was we're going to check in with Marina in a couple weeks and see if we want to just shut her down for the rest of the season also. It sounds like Marina's going to be shut down for the season, y'all. That anybody who paid for tickets to the last 2 Coca-Cola Coliseum games in September, you're not going to get to see Mabry play or Sykes around that time. That, this is going to be happening, shut down for the season. And we're getting to the point where we don't have any players. Sandy also said before the game yesterday, the WNBA is not allowing us to get a hardship player for the rest of the season. That we're not eligible for some weird, fucked up, convoluted reason to get an extra player just when we're in trouble. And last night, we didn't activate Zay Green. We had 8 players in uniform, and Julie got hurt in the first half, hit her head on the floor, and we only had 7 players to play for the second half of the game last night. So basically, Sandy's like, who's the least tired? You stay out there. Whoever's the most tired, come sit down. The 2 of you will sit down until you rest, and I got to put you right back in and take the next most tired people out. And that's basically how she's doing her rotations right now. It has nothing to do with who's the best lineup or strategy or anything like which live bodies have the most energy in their energy bar, like a video game right now. We have to put you out there no matter what. And why wasn't Green activated? Like, you can use her games, right? Or did she do something that pissed off Sandy or something? And Sandy's like saying, you can't play because of this reason or something like that. I don't know. We need every woman on deck right now, Luckily, it sounds like Julie is going to be fine. It was just a dumb thing where she hit her head on the floor and she was dizzy and she didn't want to play the rest of the game. But it shouldn't be something that keeps her out for the last 3 games this week, which is crazy. There's 3 more games this week before the break. When the Las Vegas Aces just have 1 game against us on Friday, they could have made the schedule nicer to us, but no, they made it mean on purpose. Just in case there's a stretch run to try and make the playoffs, well, let's really make it hard for the Tempo in August at the end and give them 2 back-to-backs. And especially, let's hide one of these bad teams against them on the second night of the back-to-back with the Mercury on Saturday. Sandy's already saying that she doesn't even know if she'll have players available for that second game in the back-to-back in Phoenix on Saturday. That part of the problem is that she has an international team. And what is coming up? FIBA basketball. And these players play for their national teams. Like, I'm pretty sure Yaskaita's got to go to play for Lithuania, and she's playing so heavy on the minutes for the Tempo right now. And somebody's did they try and do some manipulation to hurt people like that are international players for international teams, and the USA players on their teams, they get a cushy WNBA schedule right before the end of the break, like Asia Wilson. Either way, it's convoluted, fucked up shit, and it's on purpose. Let's just say these schedules aren't random, y'all. They figure out all kinds of ways to either give advantages or disadvantages to teams through the path that they have to follow through the schedule for the season. Advantages and disadvantages for the teams. It's crazy. Stretch all the games in one area and then condense them all in another part of the schedule. It's insidious, it's wrong, and it's not fair. It's not fair. I tell you right now, it's not fair. So yeah, we'll play the Storm on Wednesday in Seattle. Hopefully we can maybe win that game, but who knows? But we played well with the Aces. I'm not upset. They're the champs. And if they hadn't played Wilson, they had the choice not to. They might have lost. I'll say that right now. Jackie Young and Asia Wilson carried the Aces yesterday. And, there's other members that could have stepped up and done things to help them. Yamamoto was very much a factor, but nobody really was meeting the challenge in some ways. And maybe the Tempo could have found a way to win without the great Asia Wilson out there. Maybe. Maybe. I mean, there's been all kinds of disadvantages for the Tempo on the down low, and we'll talk about them more today. We'll talk about them more today. Trevor Jason first with his words of wisdom. Your greatest weapon is your mindset. Train it to see opportunities instead of obstacles. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is something I'm really good at. Whatever, no matter what happens, I don't have expectations. I have the ability to see the situation and make the best of it. If it's a bad situation, I don't totally recognize it about that way. I recognize it as an opportunity. I recognize it as well. This didn't go as I planned in the garden here. Well, I learned from it. And maybe I can find out what I learned from it and utilize it for me to do something really smart. That's kind of the philosophies of permaculture is that you don't dominate the landscape. You don't do what people do with their lawns and clear it all out and build it themselves. No, you allow the natural landscape to propagate and be there and persist, but you learn the lessons from the plants and what they do. And maybe you use certain plants against other plants to get them out of there. There's all kinds of different ways to do this. If there's an issue, there's a natural a solution. It's not pesticide. It's not this or that. You can find the natural solutions for things because nature holds all the answers. So it's like, if you have a situation or something happens and it's not ideal, look for the silver lining, look for the lesson, look for the way that it can be an opportunity and you'll be wiser and better for it. Blessings to the Jones family, all the Rapid Freak families. That's right. Obstacles are opportunities. And even if an obstacle turns into a not a success, that is a success because you learned from it. That's what it is right there. Yeah. Trevor J saying the Tempo put up a good fight and had 5 players in double figures, which was impressive, honestly. They struggle to do that often, but still lost to Las Vegas with only 2 players who had over 20 points each. Yeah, they only had 2 players in double digits, and it was Jackie Young and Asia Wilson with over 20 points each. And that's why I'm saying if that was a critical decision that Wilson made to come and play. In some ways it's really good she did that. That's what's disappointing about all the injuries for the Tempo. People in Vancouver paid money to see Mabry, and Mabry didn't show up for either one of the games. It kind of pisses me off, honestly. I don't know how hurt she is. In some ways, it's like, look, I want to trust y'all that y'all are legitimately hurt to the point where you really can't play, but I don't trust y'all because there's no track record, and I don't know how hurt y'all are. People pay good money, ticket sales. They're trying to grow the brand of the Tempo out in Vancouver. They need to show up like Asia Wilson did. Asia Wilson has a hurt back. She's thinking about, can I be questionable, Becky? Well, we'll see how you feel. I don't know if you're going to play or not. I'd like for you to play, obviously, because we're trying to do things to get ready for the playoffs. But if your back really is that hurt, don't play then. Well, Asia Wilson shows up and plays. The Aces win. The fans get the star from the other side that they wanted to see, because that would have been bad in some ways. This Vancouver game, no Mabry, no Sykes, no Wilson. That's the problem that the NBA has with stars just sitting on games all the time and people paying tickets to come to games and don't see the people they came to see. That's why I don't like this crap with how many times people have sat out with the Tempo. It's like, look, we need y'all to show up because we're trying to build a brand and a culture and a team's identity in Canada. if we're going to travel all the way the fuck across the country and do games in Vancouver, we need to have, the best stars available so that we can showcase the product the best. And in some ways, that's fail. That's fail for the Tempo this weekend. Even though they did win against Portland and Bridget, that's fantastic. That's your great fun thing. And you did get to see the great Las Vegas Aces also, Vancouver. But you didn't get to see our $1 million backcourt at all, hardly. Maybe a minute and a half of Brittany Sykes before she exited the game on Friday night. These are issues. These are problems. These are the reasons why the NBA put in the rules about all-stars and superstars sitting and the 65 game rule. In some ways, the WNBA may be behind the NBA with some of the trends. And this could be a trend that hits the WNBA more in the years to come, is that these players are sitting out for piddly things quite often when they shouldn't be sitting out. And we're missing games of stars playing. And this will become an issue in this league. And they'll have to make rules to try and encourage people to play more often, just like in the NBA. Because, I could see this problem happening in the WNBA more and more where, hangnails are reasons why people are sitting out or this or that. I mean, I don't want to be insensitive to the fair sex and possible things that they have to deal with that men don't have to deal with as far as like possibly not being able to play. And this may sound sexist me saying it, but still, I don't know. Female athletes have had to deal with certain things in certain ways, and they're different than men for sure, like pregnancy and that time of the month. But it's like, this is important, especially for a first year team building a brand and going to other parts of the country to try and advertise and get people involved. Marina Mabry should have played this weekend in one of the games. I'm sorry. The fact that she sat out after back-to-back last week, the second night of back-to-back, and sat out 3 games in a row now, I don't know. If she's seriously hurt and she really is that hurt, then I will, apologize. But I didn't see where she got hurt. And I don't know if this is really that seriously an injury. If this is just kind of some bullshit too. I hate that I don't trust this, but in some ways, I wonder. I don't have a track record with the Tempo and their players and knowing their personalities and who they are and whether they might be a little bit weak sauce with, hey, I'll sit out because I have a crank in my neck or something like that. Maybe I'm being too overcritical. Maybe, Sandy did say in the interview before the game, these players want to play. And if they can play, they will play. She did say that, but she may be covering for them. I don't know. Is this tank commander shit? Is this what we're doing here now? Is that we got to sit most of the team and barely have a skeleton crew? Just enough to make the requirements so to not forfeit the games because we have the required amount of players to play the game. But that's it. And we could start at the top of the roster and say, hey, you make this much money. All right, you're out for the rest of the season, Brittany. You make this much money, Marina. You're out for the rest of the season, Marina. You're out for the rest of the season, Anissa. I get it. I know the injuries to Morrow is real because we saw how she had to be carried off the court and she couldn't put any weight on her knee. I can see that Brittany has had a real problem with her foot for this year because she would have been chomping at the bit to come back way sooner than 2 months if she could have actually done it before. And it's a sad impact that she had to go right back out. This plantar fasciitis has been wreaking havoc on Toronto point guards all year. Trust me. Yeah, it's been annoying for both the Raptors and the Tempo. Plantar fasciitis. Fuck you, plantar fasciitis. You get my 2-finger salute. You fucking bullshit that happens to people's feet. Seriously, I'm sick of this shit. Maria Conde, we need you back. Seriously, I don't know how hurt you are. Are you just pissed off because you weren't playing very well right before you got hurt? And you're just sitting now with your glasses on and sitting on the bench looking cool, traveling with the team. But we need you to play again. Can you come back, Maria? Can you come back? Niara, I know you're in a walking boot. And I know you ain't going to play. If you play for Germany in this break, I'm going to be like, what the fuck, Niara Sabali? If you play for Germany during this break, I'm gonna be like, what the fuck is going on here? Seriously. Seriously. Either way, injuries, injuries, injuries. And it's too bad that not like the Las Vegas Aces, the Tempo have not got past most of their games before this break. And we still have 3 games left before this FIBA break. Wow, that would have been a luxury if we were further into the season and had more games played by now. But no, we've got to be behind in our games played this season. And we got to jam 3 games in 4 nights right before FIBA break. It's annoying, man. It's annoying. It is annoying. All right, let's see what y'all are saying. More of y'all have joined the chat. Let's see what's saying. Reggie's here, a Raptor Freak trivia champion. Thank you, Reggie, Trevor, MJ, for supporting this channel. I saw that Ennis Cantor got kicked out of a game last night. He was there to instigate. Yes. Yes. And I only talk about this because this is something that happened at a WNBA game last night between the Chicago Sky and the Indiana Fever, of course. And Ennis Cantor is being a misogynist, weird ass, I guess, self-proclaimed male activist or something like that. I don't know what the fuck he is. He's a big, dumb political dissident, a man of no country, and a sorry ass, slow as a snail basketball player. And he's trying to prove a point, and he thinks he's protecting women, but he's absolutely a clown. He's absolutely an idiot. And it's absolutely reprehensible what he did last night, calling out Natasha Cloud in the middle of a game and asking her to fight. Honestly, like, what was this all about? Like, when you do this kind of stuff, walking onto a court like this, Ennis Cantor, the language is, let's go, let's go. You want to fight a woman? Like, wait a second. Your whole platform is about protecting women, right? You fucking dumbass piece of shit, Turkish dissident motherfucker. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Your whole thing is supposed to be, I'm protecting women from men that want to play in the WNBA by making a dumb joke that I want to play in the WNBA. And I'm getting way more press out of it than I thought I would. So I'm going to keep running with it. I'm going to be even more stupid. Like, I'm going to show up at a WNBA game and actually call out a player that called me out publicly earlier this week. And let's make this WCW Nitro. And I'm Raven sitting at courtside, Ravens flock. And I'm going to get in the ring all of a sudden and sit in the corner and pout about how I'm a rich kid and my parents never loved me. Like, what the fuck are you, Ennis Cantor? Who the fuck are you? You're just a man who has the want to protect women while he's calling out a woman and asking her to fight in the middle of a WNBA game. Something's not lining up here, you dumbass. You should be banned from all WNBA and NBA games for the rest of your fucking life, you big, dumb piece of shit. That's what I have to say to that. Yeah, he did go to that game, and he did try and instigate something, and he did go on the court, and the security did throw his ass out, and they should ban his ass from the WNBA for the rest of his life, just like a dildo tosser. Yeah, he is a dildo tosser. He threw the biggest dildo on the court out of anybody so far this season in the WNBA. Mark that stat right there, Kathy Engelbert. The largest dildo thrown on a WNBA court in WNBA history was last night. Ennis Cantor throwing himself on the court because he's a big dumbass dildo himself. Yeah. Yeah. Royce White, you have I don't even fucking know your name. Who the fuck were you? You were the 12th man on the Nets like 10 years ago? Like, who the fuck are you, Royce White and Ennis Cantor? You sorry ass rejects of the NBA that fucking think you're funny and you're trying to do some shit. I'm protecting women. We're protecting women. Bullshit. You're not protecting women. You are making it more aggressive and intimidating towards women of the WNBA that want to just play basketball and be professional athletes and do what they do. You fucking piece of shit, Ennis Cantor. 2-finger salute for you, just like plantar fasciitis. That's right. 2-finger salute for you, motherfucker. That's right. Fiercey's saying this. Good morning to Fiercey Salsera, who won her first round playoff matchup against MK. It was very dangerous. MK was really wanting it. I could tell. MK Meredith is so good at fantasy sports. And he really made a last-second charge to try and beat Fiercey still. But boy, was Fiercey happy when Asia Wilson showed up and played. If Asia did not play against the Tempo last night, Fiercey would have lost her first round. I'm going to tell you right now, her fantasy team would have been sunk because she needed the 50 points that Asia Wilson put up against the Tempo yesterday, or she would have lost to MK straight up. Straight up would have lost. Oh my gosh. I think the Aces might have lost too without Asia yesterday. That's right. Good morning, fam, and happy Monday. I'm actually fine with the loss as it provided more opportunities for Benkole, Key, and Nurse to play. Wow, Key and Nurse. Yeah. We can't be upset about losing right now. I mean, there's no reason to get mad when the team is half-assed, half itself. We're just playing all hands on deck. We can't get upset about this. And plus, it's the champs. Like, I don't see why anybody would be, upset, or like everybody should be fine with this. I don't get it. I don't get the other side. Yeah, it's a really good time for these players that you name. Key and Nurse, it doesn't matter as much. Key is not in development, but Benkole and Key are definitely. Tiani Key getting more time out there and more feelings of confidence. Benkole getting more recognized. Benkole finding out more that maybe she can play in the North American game. And some of the stuff that she brings from France does translate. These are good things. These are definitely good things. Yeah, Smooth saying it was very weird. It was staged. It was stupid, and Ennis Cantor should be banned for the rest of his life. That's what should happen right there. Fiercely saying Wilson gave me 50 points and definitely helped as MK was only down 10. Yeah, you lose. You lose. Wilson DMPs. Wilson doesn't show up for the fans in Vancouver for the Cross Canada Series. There's no star power in that, and the fans are disappointed. And maybe even some of the fans are saying, we want our money back because we wanted to see Marina Mabry. We wanted to see Slim Sykes. We want to see Asia Wilson. And if all three of them don't show up, well, what the hell is that? That's like watching a WrestleMania card without Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, and the Junkyard Dog. Like, what is that? We came for the stars. We came for the headliners. And the headliners aren't here. That's why it's really important that Asia Wilson played, not just for Fiercey's fantasy team, but just for the paying fans in Vancouver that have been anticipating this game all season and waiting for it and wanting to see it so bad. That would have been a travesty if Wilson had not played last night, not just for your fantasy team, but for the fans. That's what I'm saying right there. That's what I'm saying. So we're saying this, Kawhi making rap videos in China. Yeah, he was rapping a little bit. Speaking of rap videos, who almost dropped bars last night? Oh my gosh, that would have been crazy if he had done it. Scotty returned to Twitch late last night. He was on from around 11 p.m. to about just past midnight, and it was fun. He's in a really good mood. He was like, let's get a beat on, and he asked Durrani for beatboxing, and he was going to drop bars, just impromptu bars in the middle of his stream last night. I was like, whoa, Scotty, come on, let's go. Come on, Scotty, let's hear it. Come on, come on. He's like, come on, let's get the beat, guys. Come on, get the beat set up. Durrani, you going to beatbox over the microphone on the 2K? You going to beatbox, Durrani? Come on, I'm ready to spit some bars, man. And he's like getting ready, and he's like, and then they couldn't get the track to play right over the system in the computer. So Scotty threw his hands up, said, no, we're not going to do it. Sorry, guys. What a tease. What a tease. I want to hear Scotty freestyle live on Twitch for the Twitch crowd that was in the house last night. That would have been amazing, Scott, if you dropped some bars like that, like Kawhi did overseas in China in a viral video recently. Of course, Kawhi played some sort of one-on-one guy over in China, some guy named Bai Ling or something like that. I don't know. And he kicked his ass. It was like 100-35. And apparently Paul George went there last year and played this guy one-on-one. And this guy put like 65 points on Paul George. Well, he could only put 35 on Kawhi. And Paul George, you suck. That's what I would say. But yeah, Kawhi's having a good time in China. Kawhi's making money. Kawhi's building his brand over there. Kawhi's doing what he does. Kawhi is Kawhi. That's right. You never seen him like that. Yeah. Kawhi is changing. I think Kawhi is changing. I think that in some ways this aspiration scandal is bringing him out of his shell in a weird kind of way that's we never would have called. We would have thought, Kawhi Leonard is Kawhi Leonard. He's going to be he's just going to be a weird enigma, a guy who shows up in a Drake video looking all awkward, a guy who's on the court doing what he does, but he's really kind of quiet and sensitive and keeps to himself. But maybe at this point, he's like, I don't give a fuck. In some ways, he's feeling untouchable because the aspiration scandal may be teaching him is like, you know what? This league will protect me just as much as it may indict me. This league will protect me just as much as it may indict me. And maybe I feel a little bit more safe to be myself out in public, a little bit more, smiling and laughing and rapping a little bit more. Because Kawhi's feeling a little more comfortable. It's like, you know what? Maybe there's healing in this. It's like this whole thing with Steve Ballmer, aspiration and stuff. It's been scary. It's been stressful. You know, my girlfriend, Miss Shipley, she's been very sick and stressed out about my situation and what's happening. And well, I'm going through it, and this adversity is making me stronger. And you know what? Why not have some fun while I'm going through it? And I think that's Kawhi's philosophy at this point. Maybe he really is like extremely excited to be back in Toronto, and that's part of it. Maybe he never like totally took to the whole idea. Like the idea of going home made sense, and it was like, oh, I want to go home. I want to go home. Maybe the whole reason why the whole thing started was that Kawhi didn't want to be in San Antonio because he was mad at them because of disrespect for this or that or whatever. And lie, they thought he was lying about his injuries or something like that. And there's some disrespect back and forth. And he was just using this as an excuse the whole time, but he had to follow through on the excuse. I want to play at home. That's why I want to leave San Antonio. I want to play at home. Well, fuck you. We're trading you to Toronto. Okay, well, fuck you. I'm going to get home regardless, no matter what, San Antonio. And that's why I'm middle finger on a championship ring from the Toronto Raptors instead of the CN Tower. Fuck you. I am going home. And then he went home, but it wasn't what he thought it would be. He went home and it sucked. It went home and it was like, man, my family's bugging the shit out of me. I'm around them all the time because I'm home. And Steve Ballmer's team sucks. They don't know what the fuck they're doing like they do in Toronto. Man, why the fuck did I do this? Oh, yeah, I told San Antonio I needed to go home. That's why I had to follow through and come home, right? So I came home, but maybe I stayed home a little bit too long. You know what? I'm free. I'm going back to Dr. Alex. Woo! Hey, Maybe this is the shit that's going on with Kawhi right now. He's having a renaissance of expression, an expressionist renaissance. That's right, like a painter from back in the day, like Matisse. He's fucking having expressions on his face all of a sudden. He's smiling, he's laughing because he knows he's coming back to Canada. I mean, could that theory and what I just said be true? That he was just so stubborn. He told the Spurs, I have to go home. You trade me back to California. I have to go home. And they said, fuck you. We're sending you to Canada. And he fucked around, won a championship. And then he went home still just to finish that part of saying, I have to go home, San Antonio. You didn't listen to me. And he stayed home too long. And he wore out his welcome at home because the family was bugging him for tickets and they were annoying. And it's like, yeah, home wasn't all it's cracked up to be. Honestly, I wasted my time on the Clippers. The Clippers are a horrible organization, and they just wasted my fucking time for 6 years. You know what I'm saying? So maybe he's a little upbeat. He's a little bit happy because he's escaping that. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? That's right. Sitting players to make sure they lose for the lottery balls, man. You think that's what it is? You think that's what it is? I don't know if it's exactly that, man. I think that those players that are sitting for the tempo right now it's probably half truth, both things. It's like, well, Marina, do you have a little bit of a problem right now? Yeah, I do. I have a little bit of a problem. I do. You know, Dire Straits sang about money for nothing and the checks for free. And, you know, you don't have to play and you still get that $1 million check. It's nice, isn't it? Yeah, it's real nice. I mean, that's why everybody doesn't want to go to work and still get paid, right? Everybody doesn't want to go to work and still get paid, right? That's what these people are doing right now, is what they're doing. They're going to get paid either way, Brittany and Marina. How many games did Brittany actually play this year? And she got that contract. That's why sometimes they say it's like the value on the contract for the amount what you get from the player during the season. You know, there's like, ooh, look at these big value contracts. Sandro Mamukelashvili. Wow, look at that. Look at what he's doing on the court all season for the Raptors for only $2.5 million. Wow, that's value. That's value. That's what I'm saying. Where's this value? Where's this value? Even though, you know, the WNBA players just finally got paid this year and stuff like that. But there's, you know, you want to get value for your contracts, Monica Wright Rogers. How many games played and how many minutes played and how many points played by these players? And what you're getting from them. That's right. That's right. Fiercely saying this, if Alamon hit her head, she should be out a few games for concussion protocol, in my opinion. You're probably right. She's probably exactly right. So it could very well be she's not able to play for the last 3 games before FIBA break because it's usually a week for concussion. And we have 3 games and 4 nights still before Saturday's done. She's probably right. What the fuck are we gonna do then, Sandy? What are we gonna do? Kiki Rice, Isabel Harrison, Ornella Bancole, Temi Fagbenle. Temi's gonna be so crucial. Temi, nobody can get hurt. Nobody else can get hurt, y'all. Can we call Tema Puyi back? Can we get Puyi back? What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Kia Nurse, you're gonna be the MVP for the rest of the season. Let's go, Kia Nurse. You are Marina Mabry. That's right. Start taking those Marina Mabry threes right now. You got logo 3 license now, Kia Nurse. Go on then. Go on then, Kia Nurse. You know what? Put your hair up in a top ponytail for a little while for the end of the season. We'll just call you Marina. That's Canadian Marina, y'all. That's Canadian Marina. Marina Mabry, Kia Nurse. That's right. Kia Mabry. It's Kia Mabry. You didn't know? They're long lost. They did genealogy and they found the linkage. She's a long lost second cousin, twice removed on their mother's side. That's right. That's right. Dara Mabry, Michaela Mabry, Marina Mabry, Kia Mabry. That's right. We need to see a Kia Mabry show for the rest of the year. You go and get 50 points this year, Kia. You know, that's one of the things that's pissing me off about Mabry probably getting shut down for the rest of the season is that she promised us she'd try and still beat the record. That's right. She did say that in an interview earlier this year. They said, "Oh, you got 53. You almost beat the record." She said, "Well, give me a chance for the rest of the year still." Okay, I listened to her. As an autistic man, I'm like, "All right, Marina, you promised me you're going to beat the record still. That 53 is not enough. You go get that 55 and get 10 3-pointers while you're at it." Although Kayla just went and did it. You said you'd come back and do it and improve on the record. No, you're not going to do it now because you're most likely going to be shut down. Sandy basically said it before the game yesterday. Marina's out for the rest of this week for sure. And she'll be assessed during the FIBA break and probably will be shut down for the last 4 games of the season. See, that's not good. If she is able to play physically, she should, even if people are worried about injury and a tank commandment and stuff like that. No, there's people that want to see her play. Once again, she's a star. She's an all-star. She's somebody that people will buy tickets to see specifically. And if there are any little girls or any fans that are coming to the last 2 games at Coca-Cola Coliseum in September, they want to see Marina Mabry. I'll say it over and over again. That's just the truth right there. Reggie's saying really makes no sense to win now. They're a first-year team that's out of the playoffs. I get what you're saying. And sure, this will look a little bit like 2 years ago with the Raptors at the end of the season with Kelly Olynyk running around with a bunch of G League guys. Yeah, it's going to look like that. And, well, actually, they gave us a really easy schedule at the end of the season. We get all our Nets games in. We're winning games. We're not supposed to. Listen, they did that to us kind of now, too, in this stretch of the season because we're playing Phoenix and Seattle this week among the Las Vegas games. And those are winnable games. Like, I want them to win on my birthday. I know that y'all are like, no, they don't need to win another game for the rest of the season. Bullshit. I want to see them win on my birthday on Wednesday still. Because, look, man, I know that it doesn't matter. It doesn't anything like that. But, hey, 12 wins is better than 11 wins in their first season. You know what I'm saying? So I'd at least like to see them try and win on Wednesday against Seattle, against the Storm, because we beaten them all the games so far this season. And instead of everybody sweeping us, can we sweep one of the other teams for the year? You know, there's little mini missions in this. It's not just the whole grand scheme of things. Okay, tank for the draft because we're out of the playoffs. Shut down everybody because we're out of the playoffs. No. If we want to establish what Darko's been establishing with the Raptors over 2 years into last year to get the playoffs again, we have to put the winning habits in even when we're losing and we're decimated and down like this. They can't pull any punches. They have to try and they have to go all out. You can't play against the aces like they did last night when you're playing half-ass and you're trying to lose on purpose. They were trying. They were playing hard. And they competed with one of the best teams in the league without hardly any players last night. That's something to be proud of. So no, we can't do it that way. That's that any kind of unethical tanking on purpose kind of bullshit. It's one thing to hold people out and you're short stack to lose, you know, like holding Yak out for Raptors games. But it's another thing to actively in the middle of games try not to win when you do have the opportunity to win. You know, I get what you're saying, but also at the same time, have some pride. And it's also important because if you do it the right way, like Darko and the Raptors have, when you are ready to win, like you were last year, it's more a habit because you were building that habit for the 2 years of rebuild before that. So we got to do it the same way with the tempo. And you can't be full on Aaron Baines tank commanders here. No, you can't. You've got to give a good effort like they did last night. They hit it exactly right last night. They didn't win, but they played well to that it showed progress and building and good development minutes for young players. And they showed tenacity. And, they gave a good show to the Vancouver crowd. It wasn't just a blowout and a boring ass game because that's another aspect you have to think about with it. It's not just the draft. It's not just the health of the players. It's not just the win losses and whether you gave a good effort. It's also, did the fans come to the game and enjoy themselves? And if they showed up and saw a 30-point rout of the Vegas Aces over the tempo last night, that's not enjoying themselves. So they gave a good show. They kept it close. And the fans enjoyed the game last night, even though the tempo lost. They saw the greatness of the Aces and they got to see a tempo game. So that matters right there. That matters right there. Fiercely saying this, I have a feeling Wilson was strongly encouraged to play as she is the MVP and the best female player in the world. WNBA could not allow Mabry, Sykes, and Wilson out. That's what I'm wondering too. Like, I got that feeling too. It's like, well, if you are able to play, you should play because these people paid money. These people paid money. 15,877 people. Not a sellout. Not a sellout. The Vancouver games didn't sell out. They didn't. No matter what people said. I know Trevor and I got in a little argument after the game last night about the true attendance. He said it was 20,000. There's never, ever an attendance that is exactly 20,000. I got the raw number from the ESPN box score, which says it's 15,877. If an announcer said 20,000 people came to this game last night, they were rounding up. They were just rounding up and saying a general number. And they weren't really saying the exact number, which the gate number is the gate number. And it usually has like 877 instead of 000, So yeah, they didn't sell as well in Vancouver as they did Montreal. And in some ways, they didn't sell as well in Vancouver as they did at Scotiabank Arena this season either. So, not every game at Scotiabank was a sellout either. The last one was, the Indiana game was, the Phoenix one wasn't as sold out, and I think the Minnesota one was close to sold out. And then the Indiana one was sold out. The two Montreal games were pretty close to sold out, I think, both of them. Very, very close. And, of course, they broke the WNBA attendance record at one of the WNBA games, and that was that Dallas game. I think they broke the attendance record. Yeah, yeah. Let's see. What else we got going on here? G's saying this. Tempo showed grit. This is for real. This is for real. G's exactly right. And Fiercely saying, Brondello said Marina will be evaluated in a few weeks. Sykes and Morrow out for the rest of the season. Yeah, went over that. All right, let's do the stars of the game for the box score, and I'll go over the box score real quick from last night. My number one star of the game is Canada's own Kia Nurse. Man, Kia is such a joy to watch. I get it. She's not the most talented player. She's not the youngest player. She's not the most flashy player, but she is a hard competitor. She's tenacious. She's knowledgeable. She, in some ways, she's way more like Chelsea Gray than a lot of other players in this league. Chelsea Gray is a very interesting player. She's an elder stateswoman in this league, a throwback, a very kind of interesting kind of energy kind of player in different ways. And well, Kia has some of that in her on our team. She's not Chelsea Gray. Don't get me wrong. But some of the qualities that Chelsea Gray exhibits, I know Kia Nurse looks up to her and says, you know what? I want to be like her more on the court because I can see how much she helps her team in different ways, So Kia Nurse has been phenomenal. If anything, she's the last line of defense. If the team is decimated with injuries and we really need somebody to try and fill up the basket, Kia's going to come out there and take shots. Maybe she's not the best person to be taking shots, but she's going to take shots. And as I said, it seems like for the rest of the season, Kia Nurse, you're getting to do your Marina Mabrey impression for the rest of the year, that you are Marina now. If Marina's not coming back for another game for the rest of the season, you are Marina. I love what Kia said after the game in the post-game press conference about how she's been feeling this year is different than any other year in her long WNBA career so far. Having a home and playing at home and having the fans look up to her in a different kind of way, where fans are buying her jersey more often because she is the Canadian player on the Canadian team. I know Adriana's got her number 11 in a jersey at her house. It feels really good to her because she's never had that kind of special bond with the fans. The fans have never really taken to her specially in any of the cities she played in before, Seattle, LA, Chicago, all the different cities that she's played in before in her WNBA career have never been special in the connection like this here in Canada, obviously, in Toronto with the Tempo. So I love that she's getting that feeling and she's on cloud nine. You can look at the way she acted in the mascot video from last week and how light she is and how playful and how unfiltered and just how she's acting. And, she's been a huge factor as a leader on our team. She's been a factor as a tour guide and a Toronto expert for the players to know where to go to get this and what's cool around the city, the secrets of the city. She's also been a strong guide like a Garrett Temple would be for the Raptors as far as a veteran who's been around the league on a lot of different teams, knows a lot of different personnels around the league, knows different matchups, knows different players individually, and can tell young players like all the freaking rookies we've had on this team this year, 6 or 8 rookies on our team this year. Kia Nurse can fill in the blanks on specific assignments and specific players and their tendencies and little insights for people like Kiki Rice. Yeah, that's valuable. You guys can get hung up on whether she's washed or she's old or this or that. There's a lot of value to her, and she's been phenomenal for us. I wasn't sure what Kia was going to contribute when I knew she was coming here, and I've known how she's been the last few years in the league, but she's delivered than and what I expected from her. She's over delivered, and I appreciate her so much. She's a legend. She'll always be a Canadian Tempo legend from the first year of playing on this team, no matter what goes on after this. She's a legend. That's right. Kia Nurse, 30 minutes, 19 points on 6 of 13 shooting, 4 of 10 from 3. Those threes are nice. Whenever she makes a 3, I yell, Kia for 3. That's my call for her when she makes threes. I'm like, Kia for 3. She's awesome. She made all 3 of her free throws, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 0 turnovers, and a -10. That's fantastic. There are a lot of turnovers in dumb ways out there. At a certain point in the court, there was a lineup that was 4 rookies and Kia and 4 rookies and Temi. That Temi and Kia are like the 2 elder stateswomen that kind of watching over everybody's young. But seriously, in the contingency that we had available health-wise, there were a lot of rookies involved. Tiani Key, Kiki Rice, Ornella Bencole, Laura Yescada. You could have all 4 of those players on the court with Kia Nurse, and Kia is the only vet out there, and all the rest of them are first-year players, whether they're 28-year-olds from Europe or entry draft players like Rice and Key. We've been playing first-year players out there, hanging with the champs, with 1 vet out there last night. Think about it from that perspective, y'all. Ornella did not play but a handful of WNBA games this year. Tiani Key's been stashed at the end of the bench. Yescada's been overworked like a workhorse in the field this whole season. And Kiki Rice was hurt for a big chunk, and she is still a rookie, even though she don't look like one out there. That's impressive. That is impressive, especially when you're playing a team that won the championship 3 out of the last 4 years. You're playing a team that is a pedigree and players that play for their national team at the highest level of the United States, Asia Wilson. You're playing the best player in the world. Forget about the best women's player in the world, Fiercey. She's the best basketball player in the world, NBA included. That's what a lot of people say, that Asia Wilson is the best basketball player in the world, not just in the WNBA. And you hang with them with a ragamatag group of 7 women after Julie goes out, and 4 of those women are first-year players. Yeah, That's impressive, y'all. I'm serious. That is impressive. Seriously. So Kia Nurse is my number one star. My second star is Temmie. Temmie was everything in the first part of the game. We came out there and they punched us, we punched back. And Temmie was taking it to Wilson. In fact, there was energy around Fagbenle last night that she wanted to take on the best and show who she was. That's the kind of competitor Temmie is. Temmie knew the assignment was Asia Wilson and the Aces, and she knows what it takes to come at them and face them off and actually be competitive with them because she's been in this league and she did it. She was surprising everybody. In fact, the pregame show for the broadcast I was watching was touting Isabel versus Asia. They forgot about Temmie, though. And Temmie got the start, and it was Temmie versus Asia. And Temmie took it to her. Temmie was scoring a lot in the first quarter and carrying us offensively at the very beginning in ways that were very helpful with her leadership. She kind of tailed off at the second half, but in the first half, she was very dominant and she was very powerful and she was keeping us in the game. So my second star of the game is Fagbenle. 26 minutes, 13 points, 5 of 8 shooting, 1 of 2 from 3, 2 of 2 at the free throw line, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 turnover, 2 steals, a minus 17. Yeah, she was one of the only defensive presences in some points, making stands and stopping people from scoring real close to the basket, similar to the Portland game, and also getting after those rebounds and just, being a veteran, once again, like Kia Nurse, a veteran among a bunch of rookies and guiding them on how to play against the best in the league. That's not an easy assignment. And Temmie surprised people last night because she went head to head with Wilson and she held her own. She held her own. Yeah. My last star of the game and my third star of the game and final star is Ornella. Ornella Bancole has been such a breath of fresh air in the last week or so. She has absolutely been showing up correctly. She's been 3-and-D'ing, and in some ways, she's a keeper. And she's been very effusive and positive. In the interview after the game, her English is not that good still. In fact, it's funny. They asked her a question in the press conference, and she had to ask for help from Sandy and Kia a little bit on what they said because she doesn't totally understand English. And even after she answered the question, Kia Nurse said, "You did good." You did good, just to reassure her that she did good in her interview opportunity sitting at the podium with Sandy and Kia after the game. Yeah, Bancole is very intriguing. She has a defensive impact, and she's not a bad scorer. In some ways, we can tell there are some qualities of her and skills on the offensive end, like whether it's shooting threes or even she showed an attack to the basket with a little flip layup, flip shot, which was pretty good. But yeah, and Bancole, 20 minutes, 4 points on 2 of 4 shooting, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 0 turnovers, a +2. She has a winning effect. She has a winning effect. And the other thing about what she's doing is she's playing some of the toughest guards in the league this past week. Caitlin Clark, Sonia Citron, Chelsea Gregg, Jackie Young. These are not easy assignments at all. And she's doing it very, very well. She did get 5 fouls, and she was in trouble to get fouled out. In fact, I saw at one point Sandy complaining to Madge Forsberg that if you keep giving fouls to my players, I'm not going to have any players to play. Seriously. Can't you see what's going on here? We just lost Julie at halftime. And if you foul out anybody, we're not going to have anybody. We're going to be playing exactly who we have available because we're down to 6 players if you foul somebody out. Yeah, it's not easy, man. It's not easy. All right, let's go over the rest of the team. I'm going to give Skata an honorable mention. She did have 7 turnovers last night, which was but there was so much she was doing correctly too. She's such a workhorse. Like I said, she's definitely been the one that Sandy has just rode on all season long. Lots of minutes, lots of time out there. Mistakes, who cares? Keep playing. You're doing good things otherwise too that make up for the mistakes. But she's just become such a bull. Like seriously, if you look at Laura physically, her body has grown this season. It hasn't diminished. She's built her body up. I think what happened was in May, she got hit hard by the size and the speed of the WNBA. And she said, well, what can I do to help myself? I'm going to bulk up because she's bigger. Her muscles are bigger at this point in the season. And it's partly because she's adjusted her body to the WNBA game to take the physicality more from the bigger players of the league here. And you know what? It's worked because she becomes a bully on some of the moves. She goes to the basket. If there's a smaller player on her, she's taking advantage of them, and she'll put her back on them and back them down. No problem. She's so versatile as far as her ability to bring the ball up the court, her ability to shoot threes, her ability to drive and get to the basket, her ability to go and get after the ball and chase it down. There's so much good about her. Yeah, Yuskata, 29 minutes, 11 points, 4 of 7 shooting, 2 of 4 from 3, missed 1 of 2 free throws, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 7 turnovers. That's why she didn't get a star. She could have got one if she hadn't had 7 turnovers, but an honorable mention anyway. Also, an honorable mention for Isabel. Isabel was out there fighting. It wasn't exactly the same output as the game against Portland on Friday, but Isabel was out there fighting, and it's a tough opponent. It's a tough opponent. She has to deal with Smith and Wilson, and sad to see Smith get hurt like that. That could really hurt the Aces in the playoffs if Nalissa Smith is going to be out for any extended time. Hopefully she can be okay and healed up by over the FIBA break, and then like for the last 4 games she can ramp up and be ready for the playoffs. But I don't like seeing that. I want the Aces to be fully healthy for their playoffs. And it was really scary to a lot of them. Wilson herself was very affected personally by Nalissa Smith going down. Apparently, they share the same birthday and they have a very strong bond. And Asia Wilson was very upset about it. In fact, there was a very poor question after the game for them in their press conference from one of the interviewers saying, how did it make you feel to see your sister down like that and hurt like that? And even Chelsea Gray, who's sitting in the interview room, gave this sideways look like, what the fuck question is that? Looking at the camera, at the dumbass that asked that question. Like, look, have a heart, interviewers and media people. Y'all need to understand these are human beings. And you asking a woman about one of her best friends getting hurt like that is in poor taste. It's like, what are you, a misery broker? You want to capture the salty tears of Asia Wilson talking about Nalissa Smith getting hurt and put it in a little vial like you have some sort of spell to cast later or some bullshit like that? Yeah, let's be a little bit more humanistic with our questions and understand when you ask players about their teammates getting injured, that's emotional. And that's kind of in poor taste. Seriously. And there could be so much better questions out there. Some people ask good questions. Some people are asking the same damn questions over and over again. Like if the Tempo coach, Sandy Brondello, has to answer another fucking question from someone about how hard has it been to coach this team this year with all the injuries. I mean, I've heard that fucking question at least 24 times in the last 2 months at every single press conference they do. Sandy, how hard has it been to keep this team together and do well with all the injuries? Oh, this question again. Well, why don't you just watch my interview from the last one? Yeah. Why don't you just watch the interview from last week or last week? I answered this question. It's like, come on now, interviewers, do better. And don't ask Asia Wilson about Nalissa Smith going down because it's in poor taste. It's in poor taste. Isabel, 28 minutes, 12 points, 4 of 11 shooting. 0 for 2 at 3, 4 or 5 at the free throw line. Her free throws were pretty good, but she still does a thing with, like, I noticed when she flips it up and catches it, she does set her hands on it in a good way. But if she doesn't do that right, that's when she misses. Like, I'm starting to figure out her technique and where it's flawed and where the misses happen. It's like when the flip up comes up and she catches it, she has to make sure her hands land on it squarely before she goes into the shooting motion. If it's not in the right place, she'll miss. And that's where she's missing shots on the free throw line. 7 rebounds, 1 assist, 3 turnovers, 2 steals, a -2 for Harrison. In some ways, if she could have stepped up and contributed more points, that would have been very helpful. But you know what? She had an okay game. She held her own and she did contribute. That's right. Yeah. Julie in the first half, 15 minutes, 3 points, 1 of 3 shooting, all 3-pointers. 1 rebound, 2 assists, 2 turnovers, a -6. Yeah, it's really too bad Julie got hurt. I didn't even see the part where she hit her head. But I noticed Kia starting the second half, and I was like, wait a second, where's Julie Alamon? Where's Julie Alamon, y'all? There's a cute clip of Julie and Maria on Instagram watching a FIBA game of their countries against each other, Belgium versus Spain. And it's like, keep your friends closer, but your enemies even closer. And Julie makes a little funny look at Maria while they're watching the game. They're such good friends. They really are, Condé and Alamang. And it's probably a lot of fun, the shit talking you hear about, European countries and battling each other, like Belgium versus Spain. I'm sure Lithuania gets involved in there too, and France in the discussions around the tempo. Yeah. Kiki Rice was fine. In some ways, Kiki was fine. I think Kiki's so steady. When I expect her to do amazing, huge things, and she does. She hits amazing shots. She's very professional. She's doing so much stuff. And in some cases, I'm starting to think, all right, this is your standard, but there's a level you can go above. So I might be a little tougher on Kiki Rice and giving her stars for the rest of the season because she's going to be the most important player on the tempo for the rest of the year. And I expect her to have huge games. And a game like last night is ho hum to me. 30 minutes, 14 points on 6 of 14 shooting. Yeah, it's not good enough. If you want one of the stars, Kiki, you're a really good player. You've got to tighten up and play even better, is what I'm saying. 2 for 5 from 3. She didn't get the free throw line, which is a travesty. She's a kind of player that plays a certain way that she should be getting free throws. 3 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 turnover, 1 steal, 1 block, a minus 18. Yeah, she had the worst plus minus on the team. We got outscored the worst with her. But man, were there plays out there where she was so interesting and so good. Her versus Yamamoto was crazy. There was some stuff there that was really interesting. But yeah, Kiki, bright spots, a lot of bright spots, but also, she could be a little bit better, right? Tiani Key, 24 minutes, 2 points, 1 of 6 shooting, 0 for 1 from 3, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 turnover, 1 steal, 1 block, a +4. There were a lot of different moments where Tiani shone, and then there were moments where she looked like a rookie and she had mistakes. She had 4 fouls. It was tough for her to hold her own against Wilson at times, but she did okay at times too. Asia Wilson's such a good talent. She can score from all spots on the court, and she's so hard to guard. And with that strength, and if you don't guard her correctly, if you don't have the strength to match her, she will just bully you. She will just bully you. And Key, well, in some ways, the game last night for you is a welcome to the WNBA moment. This is the best. This is what you got to deal with in this league. And well, you got to get stronger if you're going to compete the best with her. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, that's it for the box score. Nobody else played. It was really, they played 7 players last night. So we'll say 7.5. 7.5 players because Julie played half a stretch. Everybody getting hurt. It's crazy. Going to the other side, let's give the flowers to Asia Wilson. 30 minutes, 27 points, 10 of 15 shooting. She doesn't show up and play. Maybe the Aces don't win last night, and the tempo win the game, actually. 7 rebounds, 7 assists, 1 turnover, 2 steals, and a block, a +12. Just a fantastic player and a fantastic human being, honestly. She's a really class act. And you know what? She really is a great face of the league for the WNBA. She really is. She's very well spoken. She's just a good person. And, the WNBA is very lucky to have Asia Wilson. I'm going to say that right now. Jackie Young's plucky and annoying. She's a trash talker. She's a gamer. She's a competitor. And she was taking it to us and with varied success. Some of those little drive-ins and stop and shoots were very, very good. And we had a hard time stopping them. In fact, we played good defense on her, but she's got an uncanny way of creating just enough distance between her and the defender to get the shot off and be making it. And we saw that on display. Chelsea Gray, a little subdued, 9 points with 7 assists, while Young had 21 points with 5 assists. Yeah. And then Yamamoto was interesting. I want to talk about her just for a sec. She's only 5'5", and she reminds me of the Japanese guy who's running around in the NBA right now. He was in the G League for the Windy City Bulls. And, she's very interesting. Like, for her size and her, like, she's so little and scrawny. She is a tough player. Like, she's very quick and she's very cerebral in the way she plays. And she was really fun to watch in some ways, if not annoying, because she's a shit disturber and she's all up on people and bugging them. But yeah, what an interesting player that the Aces have that they've acquired recently. And Becky Hammon was saying that Maya not Yamamoto has not been on the team for very long, and she doesn't totally know the playbook, but she's winging it, and she's such a fast learner, and she kind of interprets things so well that she kind of inherently just learns it, which is kind of cool. You know, the veteran Aces are trying to teach her quickly how to be on their team and work their system, and she's taken to it very well without a lot of time. So a lot of credit to her on that. So yeah, that's the box score with the players. Let's go look at the team stats real quick. Becky Hammon had a goal last night to stop the tempo from scoring 20 points in any quarters. We defeated that goal in the first quarter with 22 points after it was 25 to 22 at through the end of the first quarter. This is a real goal she has. Like, she has a defensive goal that the Aces do not want to let anybody score over 20 points each quarter. Well, we defeated her in the first and the last quarter of the game in that respect. You know, they may have outscored us every single quarter this game, but that was very close in each quarter for the most part, the margins. So yeah, we kind of beat that. And Becky was kind of about the performance. You know, she was very honest about, you know, this is the WNBA. These are professionals we're playing against, and we don't want to disregard them or insult them or say that, you know, they're below us or anything like that. We need to take them seriously, even if they're very hurt and their record's bad and their defense is one of the worst in the league. We can't, you know, that's the professionalism that's gotten them 3 out of the last 4 championships, is not taking anybody lightly. And she gave us a lot of respect. And you can tell that she has a close bond with Sandy. They have bonds from the San Antonio Silver Stars. And she feels bad for her friend. As Becky Hammon put it at the beginning of the before the game, she said, "I feel really bad for the hand that's been dealt Sandy this year. That how do you do what you can with all the injuries that she's had to deal with?" You know, so Becky's had a lot of sympathy for Sandy Brondello and the tempo and the things that we've gone through. But she's also at the same time been very mesmerized and happy about how Canada has taken to our team and the enthusiasm and passion of Tempo Nation and the Cross Country Canada series and all the stuff that's been seen in Montreal, Vancouver, and Toronto this season. So yeah, there's a lot of love between Brondello and Hammond. They are not adversaries where they hate each other. Like, you would think that maybe they would be like, yeah, I really hate her because like we're top of our field in the same place. But no, they're actually very good colleagues, and there's a lot of support between the two of them. Field goal percentage for the two teams: the Aces shot 52%, we shot 44%. We did manage to manufacture one more field goal attempt than them, but they made 5 more than us overall. Free throws were bad. We only got 12 free throw attempts, so the free throws were not coming to us. They got 20. We shot 83% though, which was pretty good. We made 10 threes, and they only made 5. That's an interesting thing, and maybe that's part of the reason why the Aces were not totally blowing us out, is they did not shoot well from 3, and thank God, because if they had shot well from 3, this might have been a blowout. But we shot better at the free 3-point line overall. Rebounds, very even, 29 to 28. It looked like that in the game. In fact, we were getting a lot of second chance shots at a certain point in the game, and it was making Becky go crazy. She probably hated that when we kept getting second chance shots and making them afterwards. Assist to turnover ratio was similar for both teams, although they were a little bit more poised and polished. 22 to 11 for them, so a straight up 2-1, and we were 22 and 15. So we had 4 extra turnovers, and they're just dumb ones. There are all kinds of dumb ways to have dumb turnovers in this league. I mean, at one point, the refs really got confused and really screwed things up. There was a challenge call where Ben Cole ran into Asia Wilson on a screen, and we challenged them, and we won the challenge. The call was a foul on Ben Cole, but instead of like giving us the ball, which is weird because that's kind of what usually happens when a team wins the challenge, they gave the ball back to Las Vegas and let them resume. So what was the point of that challenge, Sandy? To save Ben Cole from getting that extra foul, which did matter because she did have 5, and that one would have counted as 6, and she would have fouled out in the game or later in the game when she got the 6-1. I don't know. In some ways, it was confusing, and I feel like Madge Forsberg, Kelsey Reynolds, and Blanca Burns got confused for a little section of the game in the middle near the end of the second quarter, and they totally screwed up a couple calls. In fact, they had one point it was going one way. They're going to give the ball to the Aces, but it was actually our ball, and then they fixed it and they went back the other way. Yeah, it was goofy. The refs were a little confused at times. I like Madge Forsberg. I'm just going to say that. I think she's a great crew chief, and I thought she did a pretty good job overall, but there was some confusion at times, and the game was a little bit run weird at a couple times. Yeah. There was one play that was absolute bullshit. It was a foul on Temi, but Temi hadn't moved at all. She got called for a foul, but she was not moving. That should have been an offensive foul. So there were some screwy calls. There were some screwy calls. The refs weren't totally perfect, and they did get confused at one point during the middle of the game. Y'all saw it. It was right near the before halftime. Right near before halftime. Let's see. Fast break points 10-9. Points in the paint 40-34 for the Aces. Yeah, it's a tough, gritty loss. In some ways, hold your head up high, Tempo. You went toe to toe with the champs, and you didn't look bad for it. You didn't look bad for it. Seriously, I would say that. Yeah, yeah. G saying the Tempo showed grit. I completely agree. Yeah, Fiercely saying read that one already. Trevor J saying this. What's the point playing injured players when we're not playing for anything? Let them heal and get better because of injuries more because fans being selfish. I get your point, but I'm going to say this right now. It's about how injured they are. Seriously, if they're not that injured, if they could actually play, I mean, I get it, Trevor. You're trying to protect them and say this. Listen, I'm suspicious. All right. I'm suspicious. In some ways, I'm suspicious. That's all. Maybe I'm completely in the wrong and you're right. But I'm also kind of like, you know what? I mean, I get what you're saying, but still, this is not, you got to understand, this is our first year. And there's a lot more that's different about this year than any other year that's going after this. It's the first year. And in some ways, limping to the finish line like this at the end of the season is not ideal because it's going to leave people with this impression at the end of the season for the rest of the offseason. In some ways, you want to have some success at the end of the season so that people can feel good about next season, even if you're not making the playoffs, so that people will stay hooked on the line and stay in Tempo Nation. Fair weather fans will turn on you if you're losing too much. And in some ways, that's why it's important that the Tempo won on Friday and ended that losing streak and did win a game. You know, the last thing that you remember is like what you remember. And if everybody's going to think, oh, the Tempo are a horrible team all offseason, maybe our fan nation's not growing. You know, casual fans not going to tune in if we're not doing some winning, right? That's what I'm saying right there. Yeah, Reggie's saying that Cantor has serious problems, man, mental problems. Yeah. In some ways, like Doug Smith said in his ye old mailbag this weekend, because somebody asked him about those idiots that are causing all kinds of problems for the WNBA right now. Doug Smith said it very clearly and eloquently. He said, when the world goes back to a world where Ennis Cantor and Royce White are not paid attention to and just obscured and just ignored, the world would be better. That's basically what Doug said about the whole thing. Smooth saying Royce White played for the Rockets a long time ago. He was afraid of flying and was waived because of that. Well, either way, I don't care. And honestly, if we need to talk about Cantor for last night just because he showed up at the WNBA game, but we should ignore them otherwise. Because the more we perpetuate talking about these guys, the more they're getting what they want, and that's attention. So I want to say this right now. If we don't have to talk about this whole phenomena of these idiots, these men's activists who are trying to protect women, idiots, that'd be good because we need to ignore them. Honestly, we need to ignore them, Reggie. That's right. Well, one of the reasons, the other is that he stunk. Yeah, he was horrible. He was horrible. I don't remember him at all. Blackhawks here, and he's got, what is that? Dogs? Those are tigers. He's got tigers. Interesting. What do the tigers symbolize? I wonder. Mr. Greg is here. Good to see Mr. Greg in the chat. I knew there was a chance when Julie went down that she may not be back as she took a nasty fall. Yeah, I didn't see that part. I didn't see that part exactly. Yeah, that's too bad. And if Fiercey's right that she is in concussion protocol, then we are not going to see her for the rest of the week. We will not see her for the next 3 games. And that's really poor, bad timing right there. Very bad timing. Yeah. Smooth saying Cantor is banned in Turkey. If he shows up there, he'll be arrested. Not that it's right or wrong. In some ways, his whole stance in the Turkey thing, in some ways, I can get behind him and trying to help him. But all the other stuff that he's doing makes him such an idiot. And like him going on about being blackballed from the NBA for politics, he's an idiot. You got kicked out of the league because you suck. It's really bad. That's right. Smooth saying this. It's refreshing to see Kawhi like this and the feelings he has for Toronto. He has a community center that he opened in Scarborough. There's a big mural of him on the side of the wall in the indoor gym. Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty cool. I mean, we'll see how this is. Like, once again, I'm not totally trusting Kawhi yet. He's coming back. It's all in good intentions, but he needs to play. We can't have him have one of those Clipper seasons where he's sitting in a sweater on the bench most of the year. We can't have that. We need him to be healthy. We need him to play. We need Dr. Alex in load management, and we need him to fulfill his promise of what he can do to help us be the best team we can be, just like in 2019. Because if he shows up here, an older Kawhi, he gets paid and he sits more than he plays, this is going to be a problem. I'm going to say this right now. This is going to be a problem. So we need him to play. And this is what I'm talking about today with the tempo. We need people to play. That's right. Smooth saying this, 8 games to go, right? I think it's actually just 7. 4 games in September and 3 this week. And then we're done for the season. There's a 4-game schedule for all the teams after the FIBA break in the second half of September. Each team will play 4 games then, just before the playoffs start, just to kind of get them back into things from the WNBA break for FIBA. So 3 games left this week and 4 after. So 7 games left in the season. And the Aces only have 5 games left in the season because they're not trying to jam 2 extra games at the end of this week with them. They only have 1 game plus the 4 in September left. But we're behind, and we have 7 games left still. 7 games. That's right. Randolph's here. Good to meet. It's good to see Randolph Phillips in the chat. Blessings, beloved Raptor Freaks fam. The quickest way to destruction is to live each moment seeking revenge. Ooh-wee. While forgiveness, love, and compassion breed success. I love that. Love that. In some ways, it's not about revenge. It's about justice. In some ways, people may think that justice looks like revenge, but in some ways, justice needs to prevail because crimes have been committed. In some ways, it's like, look, let's not get it twisted. There are crimes being committed by people in power right now, and they need to face justice. They need to face penalties for their crimes, or we just gonna live in a criminal world where anything goes, and people should just stop disregarding all laws, and we'll live in the chaos in a corrupt criminal world. It's in some ways it's like, look, it's not really revenge. Is it vengeance? Is it justice? That's the word I would say. Is it justice? What is it? I don't know. Either way, I like the message overall. Forgiveness, nah, you can't forgive certain things. Love, yes. You can try and have love for everybody in general, but at certain points, there's some people that are irredeemable. And then compassion. Compassion's important, especially for those that need it. And compassion should not be for the criminals and the people that are causing the injustices at the top. No, there shouldn't necessarily be compassion for them, because did they show compassion for the whole in the crimes that they committed? No, they didn't. But blessings to Phillips family and all the Raptor Freak families, and compassion, love, and forgiveness for everybody here. But there's a lot of criminal people that are running governments right now, including Doug Ford. And in some ways, I don't know. Justice needs to prevail. Seriously. Let's see. Let's go to Chriscom here. Good morning to Chriscom. Good to see you. Good morning, freaks. I just came up with my way to early path to the finals in eventual chip for the Raptors. Beat up Braun and Nurse, then beat up Cleveland and New York, then finish it off against DeMar and the Nuggets. So that's the playoffs you want to see. You want to see this? Man, there's a lot of interesting stories that could be written in the NBA as far as matchups in the playoffs next year. I mean, we were talking earlier this summer. What if it was the Raptors and the Spurs in the finals? Kawhi versus the Spurs on our team and Wemby and all that. That would be crazy. That would be a crazy finals right there. I do want to play Philadelphia possibly in the playoffs. I do want to play Cleveland in the playoffs. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I'd love Cleveland probably more than ever, but Philly too. Philly too because of LeBron and Big Dummy and the history and all that. Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens, Criscom, this season in the NBA. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. There's a whole season to play still. Fiercely saying this, Yamamoto, she annoyed Izzy to the point that Izzy pushed her. Yeah. Yeah, well, what you didn't see on that play was that Yamamoto pushed her. Yeah, the camera angle didn't show it, but there was a little move where she was ahead of Izzy and she was coming to get the ball. She took her left hand and pushed back and pushed Izzy's leg back this way. You have to be eagle-eyed to see it like me. She pushed Izzy first and then Izzy pushed her back. But the camera didn't catch Yamamoto pushing her down low. She pushed her on the bottom on the leg. Like she was coming forward with her to grab the other ball and she pushed back with her left hand. And that's why Izzy pushed her. That's why she pushed her. She was just giving her back for a push she gave her immediately right before that. If you go and watch the play, you'll see it. If you go watch it again. Yeah. Seymour's here. Good to see Seymour checking in from Alberta. What pop, Raptors freak? Good morning to you, Seymour Pape. Always good to see you here. And the super fan, Monique Lawrence, has joined us this morning too. Also, always good to see royalty of the Raptors fan nation, the MVP, Miss Monique Lawrence. Good morning, Raptor Freak crew. Tough season tempo, but we all knew once the injuries hit an expansion year, I would text Lex with that message. You follow tempo, but not as much as Lex. Yeah. I'm really in depth with this. Like, I'm not going to treat them any different than the Raptors. I care about the tempo just as much as the Raptors to win. In some ways it's different because 30 years of Raptors passionate fandom, and this is very new with this, but I'm telling you, I'm going to give the same energy to this WNBA team. And watching them and giving them the treatment that I give the Raptors as far as watching all the games, going over it like we do on these reaction streams, it's going to be, there's going to be a history, a documentation of the journey of the tempo on this channel, just like there has been for the Raptors the last 5 years on this channel. So, I care about the tempo. I'm not going to be like giving up on this project. Some people start something like this and they're like, well, I don't really want to cover the tempo anymore. No, I'm dedicated to do this for the long haul. So if you're a tempo fan and you really do want steady tempo content, you will get it on this channel. We are going to do the Raptors in the NBA season, but we're going to do the tempo in the WNBA season. So if you are looking for a good place for tempo community, this is the spot right here. This channel right here. That's right. Just a Guest is back too. 6. Good to see you, Just a Guest. Always good to see you in the chat recently. Kaloy's saying this, and then CMB locks up Wemby in the finals. That would be epic. Yeah, I think part of the reason why Dylan Brooks was calling out Wemby and saying he wants to start a rivalry with him is because he's figured out Wemby, and he knows how to guard him better than most people, and he's ready for the challenge of Dylan versus Victor. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Wembanyama, he causes problems, but if it's the Spurs versus the Raptors in the finals, I'll be very happy. I'll be extremely happy if that is the outcome for the end of the NBA season. All right, let's do our tempo Redditor of the day. Toronto tempo Redditor of the day is acceptable horror in 705. And in some ways, I'm not totally with what this person's asking, but I do want to talk about the topic. So we'll talk about it here. How do you feel about the cross-country tour? Saw some angry fans on Instagram complaining about sharing the tempo. Comments were basically saying they're Toronto's team, not Canada's. Just curious if that's a widely held opinion for local Toronto fans. Now, I think you're getting it confused. I think that no, we are fine with sharing the tempo with the whole country. We do this with the Raptors, and it's a beautiful and glorious arrangement. Toronto fans have no problem sharing the Blue Jays, the Raptors, and the tempo with the whole country. In fact, it's a very good thing. The problem that people are having, and it's illustrated in your comments with people answering you, is people like are season ticket holders, people that wanted to see the tempo in August, and there was only one game in Toronto the whole month. Some of it is the bad schedule they gave us. Some of it is, this isn't totally fair to the tempo team, because you can think about it. We didn't get anything done with our team until right before the season because the CBA's talks and the stall and the work stoppage. We had to come in the same year as Portland, two teams in expansion drafting at the same time. And now also we've had this schedule that's been awful. And the Tempo are expected to play 4 of their home games in other cities. And if you think about it, traveling to Montreal and Vancouver, that is not really a home game because they don't live in Vancouver. They don't live in Montreal. They're places that they're staying in. Marina's cool, bad Wi-Fi, Rogers Wi-Fi apartment is in Toronto. And the creature comforts and the comfort of being at home is not when they're in Vancouver for 2 games this past weekend, is not as much as these are beautiful cities and they're welcoming and they are home turf because it's Canada, is not really home games. That's the thing you got to realize. In some ways, it's really good for the brand. It's really good for growing the Tempo across the country, but it's not really totally an advantage. It's a disadvantage that they have to go and play in these other cities, but I wouldn't have it any other way. They need to do this, but you got to parse this all out and understand where the frustrations are. You're a season ticket holder at Coca-Cola Coliseum, and you have to go to games at Scotia also. And then 4 of the games that you could be going to are not actually in the city. They're in other parts of the country. So there's frustrations. Yeah. There's frustrations and a poor schedule where they decided there would be only one game, one home game, the whole entire month of August in the city of Toronto and Scotiabank Arena against Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. And that's the only home game this whole month where they appear in the city of Toronto. That's crazy. In the month before, they had all these games, a home game stretch of 9 games in a row. But we didn't win but one of those games because in some ways, there was a trip to Montreal in the middle of it that was actually not not really a homestand because they had to travel there and stay in hotels there, you know? So the frustration's complicated. In some ways, it's not just straight up, we don't want to share this team with the rest of Canada. No, that's not what it is. We would love to share this team with the rest of Canada like we do with the Raptors. It's more these other things that I just explained. The season ticket holders wanted to see them more in August, that they had season tickets, and there's 4 games that they're not able to go to, and that this is not actually an advantage for the players because these are not really home games. They're road games that count as home games. So does that illustrate it more for you? Acceptable Horror 705, the Redditor of the day with your question. It's not that we don't want to share the team. We love sharing the team, and we do want them to be Canada's team. It's just that these are the disadvantages built into it, whether it's for season ticket holders or the team itself about being on the road. They're going to do these games. I hope, in some ways, somebody said it's better for them to do them in the preseason like they do with the Raptors. And I agree with that. It's better for that. But this is the first year, and it's an introduction. And in some ways, they want to make it special. But I have a feeling they're going to be doing regular season games in other cities across Canada for the Tempo next year, too. So maybe at some point they get like the Raptors where the other games in other cities are preseason games. Or maybe it's just going to be common that, we get used to this. And maybe they get so used to it that the Tempo franchise is used to having the home games in other cities across the country, and it's not a big deal. Either way, it could be a built-in disadvantage for our team also in the way I just described it. Either way. Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and see if there's any breaking news in the basketball world right now. Not really. Not really. Doesn't seem like it. There's just the Trump dumpster fire. Oh, Doug Smith is reporting this real quick. We'll read this. Canada routed Mexico 83-53 at Olympic FIBA pre-qualifying women's basketball tournament in Mexico. Win automatically gets Canada into one of the 4 final qualifiers in early 2028 ahead of the Olympics. Veterans Kayla Alexander, Sammy Hill, and Yvonne Ejim with young Silas Swords led well-balanced Canadian team. So Team Canada women's winning a qualifier in Mexico yesterday by 30 over Mexico. Big time stuff right there. Big time stuff. So we love to hear it. And that's why Kayla Alexander can't come back and be a hardship player for us because she's busy. She's busy right now. All right. Speaking of Canadian basketball, let's go ahead and talk about a great item. This is my straight goods on Canadian goods, and it's a book about Canadian greatness. This is Oren Weisfeld's book, The Golden Generation, How Canada Became a Basketball Powerhouse. Oren Weisfeld, of course, covers the Raptors over for a long, long time. He's not really around the Raptors as much. He's covering Team Canada basketball more often these days. But check out his book. It's awesome. Why did it take 24 years for Team Canada to return to the Olympics? And what changed everything? The Golden Generation is the untold story of Canadian basketball, tracing the rise of NBA talent, the failures that held the program back, and the players who transformed Canada into a global basketball powerhouse. So check out Oren's book. Go buy it, y'all. This is my straight goods on Canadian goods for today. A book by a Canadian about a Canadian subject, and that is The Golden Generation. SGA, RJ Barrett, Dylan Brooks. That's right. It's a great book. Y'all should check it out and get it. That's what I'm saying right here. Checking in with the HD for today, real quick. We are in the gate of 59, and it's the gate of sexuality. And real quick, I'll talk about it a little bit more. If you have an open sacral center, which means like your guts, if you don't have that filled in your chart, then be watchful if you find yourself overplaying the swinging of your hips or reaching out to make physical contact in an incorrect way. It's so important to follow our correct strategy and authority at this time. Sexually bonding on a transit like this may lead to unwanted pregnancy. So take precautions if you don't wish that to happen. So this is a very fertile time of the year, y'all. So be careful right now with the gate of sexuality open right now. And it's line 2 right now, shyness, self-imposed barriers. So the word for today is shyness. In detriment, it's a calculated shyness rooted in deep psychological barriers that even in dynamic individuals will always restrict interaction. Infertility rooted in psychologically or biologically that conditions the drive for separateness. In exaltation, shyness is a preferred and natural separateness that protects against the inevitable instability engendered by union, the restriction of the sex drive to maintain separateness. Yeah, the energy today right now is be careful. Practice safe sex. Because fertility is high, is basically what the human design is saying. If y'all are interested in human design, you can go to the website and fill out your chart, and it will tell you a whole lot about yourself right there. That's right. No babies. That's right. No babies. No babies. All right. Let's see. We'll do the Toronto Raptors Redder of the day, and it's Velvet Pretty. And this is another one that I'm not totally cool with, and I want to kind of talk them down real quick. This is what they're saying. I feel like I'm the only one who expects Colin Murray-Boyles to start this season. I primarily expect him at center, but I don't think that is the fix to our center issue. But with Pirtle being inconsistent and injured a ton, I'd feel more comfortable playing a small ball rotation than a subpar center. Of course, a trade could change that, but with this current team, it makes the most sense to me. I could also see him starting at power forward with Scotty at the 5. All right, this is this bullshit, stupid ass post. Velvet Pretty, you're an idiot. All right, because first of all, I'm going to say this right now. Bobby Webster very clearly said in the draft open gym when they drafted Alan Graves that his starting lineup is IQ, RJ, Kawhi, Scotty, and Jakob. That Colin will be coming off the bench with Alan Graves. That's why everybody, you're saying, I feel like I'm the only one who expects Colin to start because you haven't been paying attention, you dumbass. Bobby Webster said it himself. He's the head of basketball operations. He's in charge of the Raptors. He determines this shit. That Colin is coming off the bench this year. He's not starting. You have to listen to the boss. If you don't pay attention to the Raptors, you don't watch Open Gym, and you don't listen to the words out of the boss's mouth, well, then you won't fucking understand what we all understand. And that's why you're the only one that expects this. Because the boss has already declared that Colin is going to be in contingency with Alan Graves off the bench with Shed and Walter also. And if you were listening, you would know that. Now, once again, I'll tell everybody, educate the nephews in Raptors Nation. Jakob Poeltl is a true starting center. And in this league, to start, you need a true starting center. You can't start small ball from the start. It's not smart. Just trust me. You need the center for 2 reasons. Very basically, the jump ball, first of all. Second of all, to establish paint protection and paint presence on a defensive end to establish that from the start. If you don't have that, your open door policy will let bigs run roughshod on you, and that will set the tone for the game and make you have problems down low defensively the whole rest of the game. If you can have Jakob healthy and he's out there, he does the jump ball, he establishes a paint presence, and he makes it harder for the other team to get going offensively right from the start. You guys got to understand, just because you think he's the better player, just because you saw stuff in the playoffs and Yak has been hurt, that doesn't change the positions. And also, another thing, and this is something that Coach Ivo Simovic told me personally at the coach's open house, they determine the rotation, who starts and who plays what minutes by how they get paid. And the highest paid players on the Raptors are the starters. Everybody else, like he's on a rookie contract, Colin Murray-Boyles. He's not paid more than Yak. Yak's paid more, so he's paid a starter's wage because he's a starter. That's another way they determine it. Because Evo told me straight up. I asked him, I say, hey, how do you guys decide who starts and who gets what minutes? He's, basically it's who gets paid more. Is what he said straight up to me at the Toronto Raptors coach's open house a couple years ago. So listen, pay attention, nephews and casuals in Raptors Nation. Listen, Bobby Webster told you, Colin's coming off the bench. People get played according to their salary. So that's the answers right there, Velvet Pretty, you jabroni. And that's your answer right there. That's why you're the only one who expects this. Listen, once again, in the comment section, set you straight and told you right up. You know, even though Yak might start, it may very well be that Colin Murray-Boyles averages more minutes per game than Jakob Poeltl for the season. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just there's certain things you need at certain times in the game to establish things. And Poeltl establishes certain things that Colin won't be able to establish yet. Maybe at some point in his career he will, but not yet. So that's the truth, and that's the straight up there. There's your Raptors Redder of the day. In some ways, I'm not rewarding them for anything. I'm just telling the straight truth right there. That's the straight truth right there. That's right. That's right. Fiercely saying no Jakob slander is allowed. That's right. That's right. That's right. Scotty doesn't allow it on Twitch like last night. That's right. Superfan Mo saying W stream despite the outcome. Always keep at it, Lex. I don't care about the outcome. I'm just doing what I do. We do what we do on this channel. I'm like the sun. I come up every day. I'm here every morning. You know, Scotty's Twitch time was fun, man. He was dancing at one point. He's in a good mood. He's having a good birthday month for sure. He was doing this. He got up in front of the camera and he started dancing in front of the camera at the end of his stream. He's like, I love you guys. I love you, Twitch family. It's like all the regulars are there. Chunky Monkey, Durrani, yeah, Guerrilla Marketing. These are all the regulars that have been around Scotty's Twitch family for 4 years. That's right. In fact, Chunky Monkey got the 4-year anniversary of moderating for Scott. And Chunky Monkey is Scotty's brother, by the way. That's who he's talking about on the stream. But they were playing 2K last night. They were playing on a very weird, like orange filtered Drake OVO court. And they were dominating. They ran the first team off the court. They doubled them up, honestly. It was like 83-42 at the end of the game or something. And Scotty was having fun. He was like, woo, greenies, and hitting shots and stuff. And Lloyd was both a GOAT and a GOAT at the same time. A GOAT as in greatest of all time, but it also was a bad at a certain point too, where he wasn't good too. And Scotty was both praising Lloyd at one point, saying, stream, chat, W Lloyd, everybody. W Lloyd. I want to see W Lloyd in the chat, y'all. And then Lloyd starts selling on defense and getting beat. And Scotty's like, no, Lloyd, what are you doing, Lloyd? You're fucking up, Lloyd. All right, L Lloyd, y'all. L Lloyd, y'all. L Lloyd in the chat, y'all. L Lloyd. Yeah, there's a bit of that going on last night. But he's so funny, man. He's back in Toronto, right? Because like he posted a picture of the CN Tower yesterday on Instagram. And you can tell, like, I don't know. There's a lot of weird turmoil right now with the stupid stuff with the trade war, or whatever they're calling it now at this point, with Carney rebutting to Trump and doing the right thing for Canada and being a strong leader. And man, I'm so glad he's our prime minister right now. You know, it's got to be awkward. You know, in some ways, the Raptors and the Tempo are in a weird position. They work for an American corporation, $1 billion American corporation, but they're in the Canadian teams. And it's just awkward in some ways. There's a lot of awkwardness between US and Canada right now. A lot of awkwardness, a lot of stupidity. A lot of stupidity from Trump followers and their bullshit and their dumbass ideals and what they think. We are true north, strong and free, and we want to stay our own country forever. I don't want to have nothing to do with the United States more and more. And that's why I warn once again, in all elections coming up, just like the US, they're voting out all Republicans because they are the part of the problem right now. They are the ones who've caused this problem in the United States. You can blame the Democrats for being a false straw man and letting them do it, sure. But the people that are instigating the damage and doing the work is the right wing party, the Republicans in the United States. And any kind of action or energy like that up here is coming from the PC party here. So we got to do our right thing to do here in Canada is to reject the PC party because they're Republicans of Canada. And if we don't look at the way politics mirror across the border, we need to be careful up here, or we will have a country run like they are down there if we do not continue to reject the PC party in Canada and realize that as much as the United States is rejecting the Republican Party in the midterms, the Canadians need to reject the PC party in Canada no matter what. The Liberal Party is not perfect. And yes, Justin Trudeau has a lot of baggage that people still hate the Liberal Party because, but Mark Carney is doing the best job anybody could right now in the position he's in. And in some ways, if you have a problem with the Liberal Party, get over your fucking self, because honestly, that party is responsibly running this country right now in a way that is protecting us from a big bully named the United States. And the people that will open the door and let the US come run roughshod over us are the blue party, the PC party. Don't get it twisted. Doug Ford has all kinds of weird sweetheart deals with American companies in Ontario that aren't totally disclosed. And he's more likely to sell us out to foreign investors than anybody. If we really want to build Canada strong, we have to build it for ourselves, by ourselves, without American companies building pipelines and getting proprietary rights to our protected lands just so they can fucking excavate our resources and make their money off of it. Like we're some sort of country like in South America where they do the shit to people down there. So understand the political situation in North America is denounce all conservative right-wing sides of politics because they're the ones that allowed this Frankenstein monster called the MAGA government of the United States. And if Canadians aren't vigilant about this as much as possible right now, like we were in the federal election voting for Carney, we will let this seep in up here. We have to vote against all of them at every level, in every single riding, in every single province across the country federally, because that's one of the strengths Canada has had in the history of the world. The colonies came over here and they were divided into 13 in the United States. And that was by design. So the British Empire and the British monarchy could keep them under control and fighting amongst themselves, divide and conquer. And well, when they lost the United States in the American Revolution and they wanted to keep Canada, the British decided to make it a commonwealth. And the idea was we're all one country, true north, strong and free. And in solidarity, the country of Canada, under the monarchy and the British Commonwealth, stayed together and didn't separate like the colonies. And that was part of the reason why Canada has stayed a part of the Commonwealth, and also part of the reason why we were able to stave off any kind of bullshit from the United States in the War of 1812. So we have to stick to this solidarity and unity across Canada in such a diverse landscape and different regionals and geographies and different places like BC, Quebec, Newfoundland, Alberta, Ontario. We are all Canadians in the first place. And we can't forget that. They're going to use Alberta separatist bullshit to try and get somebody out there. They're trying to lie to the Albertans and say they're using you and they're mistreating you. They're making up all this bullshit to Albertan people to say, oh, Canada's using you. They make all the money off you and they're hurting you. Bullshit. That's all rhetoric from MAGA down south to get conservatives in Alberta to revolt and become traitors towards the country of Canada. It's all a lie they're making up, Danielle Smith and the separatists of Alberta. Oh, the rest of Canada, it feeds off of us like a leech and this bullshit. That's all horse crap. We are there for you just like you are there for us, hopefully. And don't forget that, Alberta. Don't forget that, Canadians. Don't fall under the spell of a fucking child rapist who's a kleptocrat who's stealing money from his own government and enriching himself by billions of dollars. Why the fuck would you follow that guy or believe that guy and his bullshit he's saying towards our country right now? Any Canadians that support Trump, you are traitors. Any Canadians that consider Trump's ideas about what he wants for Canada, you are traitors. And you fucks need to fucking shut the fuck up, because if you're out in public with that shit, we will fucking tell you to take that shit off, because you're a fucking traitor to the maple leaf in this country. Then I'm just saying, this is a serious thing. And this whole idea of what this government is in the United States at this point was all a mutation of Frankenstein's monster from the Republican right-wing party of the United States. And sure, the Democrats sat by and didn't do anything about it as fucking sorry ass pansies and wimps. But we got a progressive movement coming up in the United States, and we can have progressive movement up here of people with real ideas for solutions and not just causing more problems in politics. Everyday people that don't necessarily belong to the Democrats or Republicans or the liberal or the conservative parties. People that have real solutions, people that are real people that feel the real hurts of real society, and not wealthy people that are making money, lifelong politicians that have fucking been abusing the system this whole fucking time just to make money for themselves. We need people that are doctors in the community, people that are construction workers, people that have been working their lives and now they see this bullshit broken and they want somebody who's real like them in charge, stepping into those positions. Because we can't rely on our political systems to fix themselves anymore. There's too much gerrymandering and rigging of ridings and taking away seats and shit to try and ensure political survivability for the fucks that are already in office, like Doug Ford. We've got to come and tell them in a mandate, not just in the United States with a blue wave in the November midterms and Canadian elections going forward. We need to reject and repudiate the forces that would hand us over to the United States in a heartbeat for a handshake and a backroom deal, and enriching themselves to sell us all out as a whole. We can't not vote for the PC government in here. Trust me, because that government will hand us over as a state to fuckface down south if we allow them to have power. That's just the truth. That's just the guts of it. And if you don't believe me, you can go and look at Danielle Smith's trips to Mar-a-Lago and how she cozies up to fucking child rapists. You can go and look and see the MP from Oshawa, Jamil Javani or whatever, is best friends and straight up right in the middle of it all with JD Vance and the MAGA movement in the United States. You can tell that Pierre Poilievre, as much as they tried to say he wasn't with them and they couldn't fool us, we could tell. So their whole party's like this. And the way that Doug Ford looks at Ontario is the same way that Donald Trump looks at the United States. And don't you fucking be snow job to not see it. I'll get off my soapbox. That's my 20-minute rant on politics right now. We cannot afford right-wing politicians right now. The right wing of politics in North America is showing its fascist side. And fascism, dictators, Adolf Hitler shit, we don't want that shit in our continent, do we? No. We want freedom, democracy, and the ability to be who we are and not have to conform to one type of person that they want us to be. That's important. That is very, very important right there. That's right. That's right. Nameless is saying this: you've got to believe that Jakob Poeltl is one of the most motivated players to win a chip this year. I like that you put a chocolate chip there. The irony of it all is overwhelming and pure unscripted magic. You know, it'll be interesting to see. I think that there is a lot for Yak to prove this year, and that I think you're right. I'm totally rooting for this. And in fact, I was saying that, you know, there were some people in Scotty's chat last night trying to say Yak doesn't need to start. They need to start calling. And I was telling him, it's like, Yak's going to come back this year and he's going to prove all of his haters wrong. I really want to see this so bad. I really do. Chloe's saying CMB's time will come. Be patient. Exactly. He was a rookie last year and he's got time to develop and get better. If he earns that starting spot this year, then I'll be like, he earned it, but he has to earn it. And in some ways it has to open up in a way that it makes sense and it's the right timing. It shouldn't be because Yak's hurt, because that'll suck, because that means we're not at our most powerful way that we can be. So we'll just have to see how it all plays out. Colin's going to get his time either way. And it doesn't really matter who starts sometimes. It really doesn't. It really doesn't matter. Nameless is saying, just goes to prove the point that the NBA doesn't have to manufacture storylines if they allowed things to happen organically. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's totally true. Like, there were always storylines in the NBA without this kind of manipulation in the past. Good stuff. If you have a good product and you have a lot of good players on different teams, the storylines will organically develop. This is exactly true. It's exactly true. You're right. Yeah, a lot of greed, a lot of greed. Let's see. Reggie's saying this. It would have made Canada a territory of the US. Yeah, there's a lot of dumb stuff, you know, and part of the problem is there's stupid people on both sides of the border. And sadly, Fox News gets across this border, and there are dumb people that are up here that are under the spell of the bullshit down there in our country, and they're Canadians, and they don't get it. Part of it is that they're racist and they want the MAGA movement to come and clean out immigrants up here. They love that they got rid of all these immigrants in the United States and like come do Canada next. This is part of their whole fucking bullshit. They're racist. It really is purely simply this. Like, if you are for Donald Trump, you're racist probably. You are probably very much a racist. And it doesn't matter if you're racist versus Hispanic immigrants in the United States or Southeast Asian immigrants in Canada, you're still a fucking racist. You're still a fucking racist. That's just it right there. Kaloy's saying, did y'all see the demands of the U.S.? They want to remove agricultural restrictions. They want us to be poisoned by corporations as well. Yeah. Yeah, the demands were absolutely ridiculous. And Mark Carney is a good leader for telling them to fuck off. I mean, seriously, if we have to cut ties with them a lot, I know a lot of people are tied into business on both sides, like Neil. If we have to cut ties like this, and like people say, it may be hard, but this is the right decision. This is the hard route, maybe the right decision, not to kowtow to them and give them an open door to come in. And, the regulations in the United States don't work. They're poisoning their people. They're like, the way they're going, like they're having measles outbreaks. And there's air traffic controller disasters. They want video gamers to run the skies now. They're trying to hire video gamers to be air traffic controllers. They're trying to give Grand Theft Auto passes to the military to encourage them. They're doing all this crazy shit right now. It's really backwards in idiocracy. And they do want to have more access to our resources up here and just extracting them for themselves. They want to treat us like Brazil. They want to treat us like Africa. They want to come in and mine our minerals, mine our stuff, and take all the profits down to the States and destroy our environment. And if we had a weaker leader like Pierre, he probably would have said, sure, Trump, come do it, as long as I get paid my share of the part. Yeah, that's why we need somebody like Carney. And that's why we need to be strong and stand up to a bully, because that's what the U.S. is right now. It's a bully. And the best way to stand up with a bully is say, fuck you, we won't do it. And even if you try and bully us, we'll stand up to you, because bullies deserve to be stood up to. If you don't stand up to them, they will bully you and bully you and bully you. So Mark Carney did exactly what he needed to do. Exactly what he needed to do. So we're saying they wanted to dictate the terms of our trade agreements with other countries. I know. Who the fuck are they? Who the fuck are they? Seriously. Nah, we have to be in cahoots with the middle powers now. In some ways, Japan, Europe, everybody, Australia, all these other countries that still have their sanity and are with us, we're with you guys too. And we'll stay with you. And the U.S. in some ways is starting to become more dead to us more and more. More and more. It's that kind of shit, man. That's right. Kaloy's saying, yeah, fuck the right wing. I mean, they're the ones who got us here. You can say it's both parties, but that's absolute horse crap. The designers of Project 2025, the people that want to incarcerate Hispanic people like this in the United States, they're all racist right-wingers, all fucked up in their bullshit. Dehumanize people, make them seem like lesser so that you can get away with your conscience not being upset for hurting them and treating them so poorly. It's the playbook of the eons and ages of history. Treat somebody and make them sound like the Israelis talk about the Palestinians. And then you can do the most horrendous, heinous shit to them because you don't look at them as human beings on an equal playing level with you. That's the sad fucking shit about this right now. Yeah, Belarus and Russia, puppet state. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like Belarus, out of all those Iron Curtain former communist countries, are yeah, a puppet state of Putin. Their leader totally kowtows to them, and they're just kind of a fodder for them. Meanwhile, there's other countries that have stood fast and gone independent and been with NATO, like the Baltics, like Ukraine, like Poland. You know, these are countries that enjoy their sovereignty, and they do not want to be under the thumb of Vladimir Putin. And we don't want to be under the thumb of a child rapist either. And that's the whole truth right there. That's a lot of it right there. All right, let me keep going in my tabs. We got birthdays today, guys. I'm going to say a happy birthday to a ring chaser. Now, this guy's a ring chaser, but he's not a player, which is crazy. Phil Handy, happy birthday to you. He is 55 today, and it has been announced recently that he has switched teams to Philly this year. That's right. He's going to ring chase with LeBron. You know, he was around LeBron on the Lakers when they won in 2020 because he went with Danny Green from Toronto to the Lakers and won the 2 championships in a row. He won the Raptors championship with us in 2019 as a special coach around with Kawhi. And then he went to the Lakers and collected another ring, going to be on the coaching staff of the Lakers that year. And Danny Green got his second ring in a row that year after 3 rings for him at that point. Well, Phil Handy is chasing them rings, and he's decided he's going to go work with Nick Nurse this year once again, because he did work with Nick Nurse in Toronto that year. And he's going to be with Jaylen Brown, Tyrese Maxey, and LeBron James. So happy birthday to the coach ring chaser, Phil Handy, who's obviously a ring chaser, because that's what he's trying to do right here. He's a ring chaser. That's for sure. He's a 3-time NBA champion, y'all. 3-time NBA champion. He won a championship with the Cavs, the Raptors, and the Lakers. And LeBron is a common denominator in 2 of those, and he will be again this year. I don't want them to win. I don't think they will. We're going to say a happy birthday for a real one for Toronto, even though we did him wrong, even though he had a bad taste in his mouth and he hated us for a little while. He's come back around and said one of the best places he's ever been is Toronto, and he loves his city, and that's Charlie V. Charlie Villanueva is 42 years old today. Happy 42nd birthday to Raptors first-round pick, Charlie V, who sadly only got to play 1 year with us. He was a one-and-done Raptor his rookie year, and he loved playing for us. But we went and drafted somebody right after him, and there wasn't room for him after that. So sadly, there was only 1 season of Charlie V, 81 games, 36 starts, 13 points per game as a rookie. And, you know, he was great. He was great for us. He honestly had a fantastic rookie season. I liked him. I would have kept him around. But then they went and, they got Bargnani and Bosch, and Charlie V got traded. He got traded out. But, yeah, he was hurt by that. He wanted to be a Raptor for a while. So happy birthday, Charlie. You're 42 today, and we appreciate you a lot. And, even though you're a 1-year Raptor, man, you're one of the loved ones, just like Bismack, just like Brandon, just like Danny Green. Yeah, 1-year Raptor. You're a special guy, Charlie V. So happy birthday to Charlie Villanueva. Those are our 2 birthdays right there. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Kaloy saying this. I'm proud of being Canadian, y'all. 76% of us agree that the deal is bad. Canada and Toronto is the future. You can see all the ethnicities in here, and it works. I'm telling you, it's just like your yard. If you have a diverse yard biologically, your yard is healthier. And, diversity is a strength. Everybody has different experiences. They have different wisdom. And when we meet together and share our wisdom, we're more powerful for it. If you all are all the same and you're cookie cutter and you've assimilated the point where you have the exact same life experience, well, you're not as wise as the people that have gone from all walks of life and all corners of the world and understand things on different levels and deeper levels than just the same people in the same experience in one place. That's why diversity is so important. Biodiversity is important, and diversity in your population is important too. Immigration is not a bad thing. Immigration is very good for your country because it strengthens your economy and it gives you good talent and good people come into your countries, not criminals and the bullshit they say. Sure, there can be some bad apples, but you know what? if your criminal justice system is good, it will take care of that, you know? And also, you want to attract good people from around the world. And the USA is deporting good people out of their country. Do you think any good people are going to be coming there? There's going to be a brain drain, and it's going to be an even dumber country with a lower IQ because of the ICE movement to deport so many people. That's a weird kind of side effect of the whole thing that they don't even realize yet. That, if people have a choice as top research scientists or doctors to go somewhere to be there or there, they may be bypassing the United States just on principle because of some of their immigration policies. So, yeah, you want to hurt your country, you want to get even further behind China and India, you go ahead and do the dumb things you're doing, shooting yourself in the foot. Maybe that was the plan all along that Putin sent Trump on in the whole beginning of this plan for how to destroy the United States from within. The whole plan, the whole time from the Russian side. I mean, seriously, that's what it looks like. And they've executed so well at this point, right? So well at this point. That's right. Let's see. Smooth saying that was Joey Graham, right? What do you mean, Joey Graham? We didn't talk about Joey Graham. No, it's Charlie V. Charlie Villanueva. That's right. Blackhawks saying this. Always proud to be Canadian and Jamaican. We don't bow to American imperialism. Only poor leadership can sell us out. That's why it's important that we are vigilant in the ballot box up here in Canada, y'all. We have to show up. Like, if you're a minority, a diverse person that lives in downtown Toronto, you need to fucking vote. Stop fucking wasting your ass and working your ass and not saying to your employee, I need to go vote right now. Because we need to vote. There's so many people in Toronto that do not vote, that have so much power, and they're not fucking using it. Stop doing this. We need y'all more than ever, especially if you're somebody that worked so hard to come to this country, paid a lot of money, went through all the systems and the processes correctly, and you're a legal citizen and you don't fucking vote at that point. What the fuck are you doing? You just paid so much to get your democracy and your freedom and your ability to do this here in Canada, and you're not even utilizing it? You better fucking do it, seriously, because the people that don't vote in Toronto are a huge number. You'd be shocked how many million people do not vote in the city of Toronto. So even if you are one of the good ones, start branching out around elections and get people involved. Tell people to go vote. Tell them you will drive them to the polling station. Tell them that you will keep up with them and keep asking them, are you going to go vote? Are you going to go vote? Are you going to go vote? Encourage your circle. Encourage your people around you. Because apathetic voting in Canada, you see what apathetic voting gets you in the United States. And if, we have a bad trend of mimicking them and being on a delay after them. And we don't want to do that this time. We cannot afford to have a Canadian version of Trump up here. I think we already got it, and it's our Premier of Ontario. An amalgamation of him with Danielle Smith is what the fucking look of MAGA in Canada looks like. Doug Ford, Danielle Smith. Yeah, they are the ones who look like MAGA up here. So if we want to get ahead of the curve in the fight of this, we've got to get rid of these leaders, because they're the ones that will be the ones that are more willing to work with Trump than anybody else. You think WAB is going to work with them? No. Fuck no. WAB will tell them to take their fucking shit and shove it up their ass and get the fuck out of Manitoba. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. Let's see. Kareem Thomas is here. Was Charlie the first to drop 50 for the Raptors? No. Vince was. Vince Carter was the first one to drop 50, and I was there that day. That was on a Sunday on NBC in February, and we were playing the Phoenix Suns. And Vince Carter dropped the first ever 50-piece in Raptors history. That's when it happened. And that was in 2001. So, no, it wasn't Charlie. That's right. Smooth saying this, Graham to replace Charlie V. Yeah, that may have been. No, I think it was Bargnani, actually, that messed him all up. I think it was Bargnani. Bosch was already there. I think it was either Bosch or Bargnani. I don't think it was Joey Graham that got Charlie V off the team. It was either Bargnani or Bosch, honestly. I think so. Kaloy saying this, right wing tries to paint diversity as a bad thing, but that is not it, not reality. You can see all the festivals in Toronto. Every week we celebrate different cultures and everyone enjoys it. Part of the reason why Toronto is one of the most badass cities and nobody should fuck with it is because of our diversity. Seriously. When it gets right down to it, if you're in the city of Toronto and you're downtown and there's a problem, people will help you. People will help you, and they will go across any kind of diversity lines. They will help you. Seriously. There's a lot of do-gooders downtown, and if there's somebody getting fucked with or there's something wrong going down there, people will interfere. People will get involved. And it doesn't matter if somebody's Chinese or African or whatever, wherever they're from. It doesn't matter. People will come out for each other. And there's a lot more learning and understanding and having diverse neighbors and understanding their customs and cultures and things and street festivals. That is just a beautiful thing. And I'm telling you right now, if the city of Toronto was being fucked with, you'd be shocked at just how resilient and badass and resourceful we would be, because we do have a lot of brilliant people here. We have a lot of strong, good people here. A lot of people from all walks of life that can share their wisdom from where they come from, and we can come up with better solutions than a bunch of dumb white trash hicks that are sitting out in a trailer park that fucking just hate people that don't look like them. Oh yeah, we win that fight. Trust me, because we have way more perspectives, and that will help you. That will help you in this for sure. That will help you in this for sure. All right, let me see. What am I doing next? We are over 2 hours. Let's go ahead and do the classic card. Let's go ahead and do that classic card. Yeah, tomorrow we're gonna do Raptor Freak Tuesday trivia. So I hope you all will have your trivia hats on tomorrow as we return to the old format, which we haven't done a whole lot this summer because of the tempo season, but it's time to revisit it and get to it. You know what I'm saying? All right, we're going to do a tougher Blue Jays card today, y'all. We're going to do Boys of Summer. Let's see who can tell me who this Blue Jay is. Holy crap. All right, this is really hard, y'all. We're going to need a Blue Jays freak here for this one. Who is this Blue Jay? Full name answer, please, on the classic card. This is not a well-known Blue Jay. And honestly, if nobody gets it, I won't be upset. It's really hard. I'll try and give you clues to get to his name if you give me some guesses. But who is this Toronto Blue Jay of the past? It's really, really hard. We have some Blue Jays aficionados here. Kareem Thomas, Smooth Brown Man. Anybody who knows the old Blue Jays. Let's see if you can jump in and get this classic Blue Jays card. Who is that? I know, Smooth. This is going to be tough. Put a name in. And I'll give you clues on the name, like outside of it, right? I'll give you clues on the name outside of it. Yeah, Jeff Harry. You got the first name right. Surprisingly, you actually got his first name right, except it's spelled Jeff. Jeff is the name of this man, but it's not Jeff Harry. His last name does start with an H. So holy crap, Kareem is very close. Turner Ward. Oh, wow, he did get it. Holy crap, Kareem's good, man. Wow, Jeff Heron. And he wrote it in there. Jeff Heron's right. Holy crap, how did you know that, Kareem Thomas? Are you really that much of a Blue Jays freak? Holy crap, Jeff Heron, Jeff Heron, he was a catcher. Wow, you guys, all right, how many points should I give Kareem for this? This is crazy, man. This is crazy. Honestly, this is such an obscure Blue Jay. This is not somebody that anybody, what should I give him here? Jeff played baseball at University of Texas. He was a member of the 1983 National Champion Club. That's crazy, man. That is crazy stuff. What year did he play on the Blue Jays? He was on the Blue Jays in 1986 and 1985. How did you do that? How many points should I give Kareem Thomas here, guys? Seriously, I feel like I should give him at least, you know what? I'm going to give him the Jose Canseco. Yeah. What is the highest level of the Sky Dome that Jose hit the home run to? What is the highest level? Somebody tell me that in right there. Yeah. Yeah. He had 23 at bats, man. Yeah. He got traded before the Blue Jays pennant. Oh my gosh. Kareem Thomas knows his shit. All right. What is the level that Jose hit the ball in the Sky Dome? Was it the 300 level? Was it the 400 level? Was it the 500 level? Tell me the truth. Tell me the truth. It was the 500 level, wasn't it? You're getting 500 points today, Kareem, because you just hit a Jose Canseco moonshot to the highest deck in the Sky Dome. just now with Jeff Herron. Oh my gosh, man. That is impressive. Seriously. Like seriously, that is something else right there. That's like a triple double in an NBA game right there. What Kareem Thomas has done this morning on the classic card. That is impressive. All right, we're going to put it in. Jeff Herron, which is like holy crap. It's like I don't even know this guy is. I have his card, but I don't know who he is. I mean, this is crazy, man. And Kareem Thomas, and we're giving him 500 points today. That's going to be a huge jump in his Raptor Freak trivia total. 500 points for Jeff Herron. He got that Jose moonshot. This is insane, man. All right, let me add it in and see where he lands with a 500 point boost. You know, Kareem was complaining the other day. He's like, that's too easy for that Blue Jays player. I understand now why he said it's too easy. Lloyd Mosby, that's too easy. Come on, you know, Willie Upshaw, that's too easy. Everybody knows Willie Upshaw. Kareem Thomas, wow. All right, you doubled your score. You were only at 550. So you're going to 1,050. And let's see how many players you just leaped over. You just jumped over 4 people in the trivia standings. You've jumped to 6th place. You're not in the top 5, but you've jumped to 6th place. You just passed UC, Isaac, Kaloy, and Kene to 6th place. It's now Slugged Easy, 3120. Fiercey, 2231. Stargate, 1850. Smooth, 1600. Seymour, 1550. And Kareem Thomas, 1050. 1050 for KT on the wow. This is crazy, man. Fiercely saying, Lex, remember when I was typing Oshai Abaji and it translated broken glass? I see Kareem wrote a weird symbol and the word neglects beside it. So odd. Yeah, it's a weird auto translate. And when you put your cursor over it, it goes to Heron. So that's how I knew that he got it right. Like he wrote it in, but it auto translate to neglects. I don't know why, but that's what I learned. Like that happened before. So when I see that symbol, now I just put the cursor over it. It translates it to what he's trying to say. So he said Jeff Herron, and that's how he got it. So yeah. Smooth's like, I don't even know that guy. I don't either. Yeah, bravo. Seriously, this is like excellence. It's like the level of excellence. Dave Steeb, Cito Gaston, Joe Carter, Kareem Thomas, the level of excellence. The level of excellence. Roy Halladay, the level of excellence is there with Kareem today. That's right. All right, I guess I'll wrap it up, y'all. The Tempo had a good showing against the Aces last night, but they lost. And honestly, if Wilson had not played, I think that the Tempo could have won. Seriously, if Wilson had been questionable and didn't play yesterday for Becky Hammond, they might have beaten the Aces. Seriously, the way they played last night. My 3 stars of the game, Kia Nurse, Temi Fagbenle, and Ornella Bencol. Just fantastic work. And honorable mentions to Kiki Rice and Laura Yascada. They did all right. But yeah, tough game, tough loss. It's learning. Maybe an opportunity was there to beat the champs. If Marina Mabry had shown up, we'll never know. Some people say, well, we're supposed to lose right now, Lex. Yeah, but doesn't it feel good to beat the champs if you can? Come on. We're not here to try and practice losing. We're here to practice winning. And if we don't win because we're short-staffed for the rest of the season on the Tempo, so be it. But we still have to go all out and try and win to the best of our ability with who we have. That's how we have to do it, because we'll learn bad habits like the Sixers if we lose on purpose. That's what I say right there. Yeah, Kareem saying early 90s Blue Jays was basically the only thing I cared about from all major sports. There you go. But that was 80s Blue Jays. That was 80s Blue Jays right there. That was in the middle there. That was Garth Arg stuff right there. Arg. That was Garth stuff right there. I'm not worthy. Either way, it's awesome, Kareem, and I love it, man. Good job, man. All right, I'm out. Tomorrow, Tuesday trivia. I hope y'all will join me tomorrow for some questions. Yeah, I'll write them this afternoon, and Commissioner of Trivia, Adriana, and I will have the trivia for you guys after a long hiatus. I know y'all been missing the Raptor Freak Tuesday trivia. Well, we're going to get it tomorrow, so let's make the best of it, and let's get those trivia points, and maybe we'll have somebody jump up in the standings just like Kareem Thomas tomorrow. That's right. So, yeah, be ready, 9:30 a.m. Raptor Freak Tuesday trivia, 9:30 a.m. It's always a fun day when we do the trivia. And then the day after, the preview for Tempo at Storm for Wednesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern game. Ugh. All right, I'm out. Y'all have a great day. Touch grass, even though it may be rainy and kind of overcast outside. And seriously, y'all, let's have some pride for ourselves and let's stand up for what we believe in. And don't be afraid to speak out. And don't be afraid to stand on your 2 feet like Canada is right now. Because look, we can't let people bully us. And it doesn't matter who they are. If it's anybody, if it's your neighbor next to you in the yard next door, or your neighbor as a country next door, you can't let them bully you because you don't want that kind of relationship with them. And you have to stand strong in your convictions. Let's just put it that way. Cool Cat saying, great show, Raptor Freak family. Thank you, Cool Cat. Learned about baseball history today. There you go. Learning about baseball history and Jose. That's right. All right, I'm out. Let's go, Tempo. That's right. I'm sad that we're all hurt now. And well, I just have to accept it. Because what do we have to play for? Well, Coach Sandy, the rest of the season, 7 games still. Let's make a good showing. Let's give something to the fans before we're done. Maybe. I don't know. All right, I'm out. Let's go, Tempo. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, join, whatever. That stuff. Let's go, Raptors, too. Scotty.